Part 1. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1. Dear readers, congratulations for reaching this point. Today's story is absolutely wonderful. It is said that in the ancient times, the ancient gods from some unknown place built a total of 108 origin pillars in the endless territory of the Yanlong dynasty. Mortals built many cities around the origin pillars. Every year on the 5th day of September, young boys and girls worship the ancient gods. By touching the origin pillars, they can be blessed with the natal totem. The Yanlong dynasty naturally respects the Yanlong totem, and there are also powerful clan totems such as the Five Veins Kailan totem and the Tianpeng totem. There are hundreds of millions of natal totems, all collected in the totem scripture. Among them, there are countless kinds of wild beasts and birds, sea fish and insects, as well as swords, spears, and halberds. It would take days and nights to read them all. Moreover, this natal totem can also evolve. The 8 super totems that are widely circulated in the Yanlong dynasty are so powerful that they can only be achieved through evolution. For example, the Yanhuang Holy Dragon totem of the current emperor is one of the 8 super totems. With this natal totem, placed between the eyebrows, one can start the road of martial arts practice from then on. It is not a problem to break the spiritual orifice with true qi, penetrate the whole body of profound veins, practice the totem holy body, and become a totem martial artist who can turn mountains and seas. Among them, those who defy the heavens take totems as their beliefs, open the totem divine seal, and attract the totem gods. They can also cultivate into the gods who can reach the sky and earth and are omnipotent, break the sky wall, live forever, and follow the ancient gods. Today's story is also the story of a defy the heavens. His name is Zhang Zizai. He took this word to be free and easy. But his story is not an ordinary story of cultivating into a god, but a shocking and wonderful journey. For more details, I, Fengqing Yang, will update 10,000 words 3 times a day to explain it in detail for you. It is said that the ancestor who founded the dynasty established the Dajiang County in the southern part of the Yanlong dynasty, with the Dajiang King City as the most respected. Dajiang King City, the hero of the southern part of the dynasty, is now ruled by the contemporary Purple Scale King Zhang Yunting. His power is so great that he is also called the Southern King. Here, the Purple Scale King leads the second largest clan of the dynasty, the Kailan royal clan. Dajiang County has fertile land for thousands of miles, rich products, loyal people, and talented people from generation to generation. Among them, Dajiang King City gathers the strong men of the southern country, and is prosperous and bustling. On the 4th day of September, because the sacrifice day is approaching, the streets of the King City are much more crowded than usual, and the noise of the people is like a swarm of flies in the ears. A small alleyway that was not crowded in the past was now crowded with people, all looking towards the corner. It was obvious that something exciting had happened. There was a shop on the corner, and in front of the shop stood a young man in brocade clothes. He was 15 years old, with a cold face, and his eyes looked at the weak girl kneeling in front of him, revealing an obscene light. The girl was wearing a white dress, her clothes were messy, and there was a lot of mud on them. Her face was full of tears, and her expression was miserable. She was crying for the young man in brocade clothes. "Sir, can you give us a chance? In 3 days, I will definitely collect enough money." The white forehead kept hitting the ground, leaving blood marks. The young man in brocade clothes was surrounded by many friends, who were grinning and pointing at the girl's exquisite figure. The young man in brocade clothes coughed and said with a stern face, "I can't do it. It's only natural to pay back a debt. If you can't pay it back, you can pay it back with your body." As soon as he finished speaking, 2 burly men came out from his men and held the thin girl. No matter how the girl resisted in panic, cried and struggled, she couldn't get away at all. An old couple was kneeling in front of the store. They were trembling at first, but now they struggled to stand up. The old man was angry and shouted, "My lord, this is the king of Zhang City. Even if you are noble, you can't rob my daughter. We don't owe you any money at all. You just fancy our beauty and frame us." The old man had no choice. It was obvious that the young man in brocade clothes was making up a decent reason for robbing the commoner girl. If he exposed it like this, he would anger the powerful and would not have a good result. Sure enough, the young man in brocade clothes called his subordinates and said coldly, "Drag these two old men out of the city and kill them." Two burly men came out and went to capture the old couple with a grim smile. One of them muttered, "My young master fell in love with your daughter. It is your blessing for 8 lifetimes. Who knew that you, an old thing, would refuse to accept the toast and drink the penalty wine, and seek death yourself?" Seeing them being so domineering, the onlookers were immediately angry and made a noise. "Get out! Whoever is still here within 3 breaths will die today." Unexpectedly, the young man in brocade clothes suddenly scolded. His voice was powerful and domineering, from inside to outside, like the roar of a tiger or leopard, and the eaves of the shops were shaking all of a sudden. The people around were speechless and suddenly silent. Everyone looked at each other, shrank their necks, showed fear on their faces, and began to flee. Totem warrior. People knew very well that this person should not be just an ordinary clan master, but a totem warrior who was given the natal totem by the ancient gods. People dispersed in fear. The girl in white looked blank, and her body couldn't stop shaking as she looked at the young man in brocade clothes. "Beauty, follow me, and what awaits you is wealth and glory beyond your imagination." The young man in brocade clothes stretched out his fingers, pinched her smooth chin, and smiled sinisterly. "Kill my parents and give me wealth and glory." The girl in white smiled miserably. "It's just a tragic fate. I originally thought that this was the end, but I didn't expect that." As soon as I finished speaking, a cry suddenly came from outside, "Who? In Xuanhuan's Dajiang city, who dares to rob my civilian daughter here?" The crowd stirred again and quickly made way for a passage. The young man in brocade trembled slightly. He looked up and saw 3 people walking towards him. These 3 people are all teenagers, and one of them stands in the center, attracting much attention. This man has fair complexion, regular facial features, shiny black hair, and a pair of very smart eyes. Coupled with his slender figure, he is really a handsome young man who is eye-catching. People reacted at this time, and immediately knelt on the ground and shouted, "The common people, wait, pay homage to the young prince." The sound of little prince revealed his identity. In the city of King Zhang, there is only one young prince, and that is Zhang Zizai, the youngest son of the current supreme leader of the Kailan royal family, Purple Lin King. Although this young prince is a bit special, his reputation is quite resounding in this great Zhangwang city. Zhang Zizai was wandering around his territory with his 2 brothers today and happened to pass by here. He glanced around and saw the young man in brocade clothes. He immediately smiled and asked, "Which grandson are you who dares to cause trouble in my territory?" The young man in brocade clothes couldn't help but feel hairy all over when he was stared at like this. He called all his subordinates to salute Zhang Zizai, hunched over and with a flattering face, he said, "Little prince, little grandson, I am Zhang Zhou Jinlin Mansion. We met last time." This young man was mighty and domineering just now, but now he changes his attitude so quickly that people can't react in time. But, what is the identity of the son of King Zilan? How could he be offended? The Yanlong dynasty had boundless territory, and King Zilan was definitely the second person in the world, and his position was unshakable. Zhang Zizai smiled and said, "Xiao Wang has no impression of your grandson. However, you have ruined the reputation of my Kailan royal family today, and I have to teach you a lesson." The face of the young man in brocade changed. He knew that he was on the receiving end of a gun. He had an idea and said quickly, "Young prince, I have just seen this beauty. How about I dedicate her to you?" This is the way for a young prince to match a beauty. It's a good story. This girl in white is indeed charming, and he believes that Zhang Zizai will be shaken. In fact, as far as he knew, the young prince's behavior was messy and all based on his will, so he tried to avoid disaster by appealing to his appetite. Sure enough, Zhang Zizai looked the girl in white up and down for a while, then smiled and said, "This old couple is really capable of making such a beautiful girl. Then I will accept it without any courtesy." The onlookers, who were waiting for the young prince to act chivalrously, almost fainted when they heard these words. It turns out that they are all from the same species. King Zilan has a great reputation, how can his youngest son? Before they could sigh inwardly, Zhang Zizai suddenly turned around and said to one of his two followers, a tall and burly young man with a pair of big dark circles under his eyes, "Panda, take off this grandson's pants." The burly young man known as the Panda smiled knowingly, touched his head and said, "Okay." "What?" The young man in brocade clothes was stunned and looked at Zhang Zizai in shock, unable to believe it. Even if it's punishment, there's no need to be so humiliating. You. He was really angry and scared, staring at Zhang Zizai, filled with anger that he couldn't express. The young panda has already stepped forward. This man actually had the aura of a giant beast, and he looked like a ferocious beast when he walked on the road. But he happened to be very kind. "Little prince, please." The young man in brocade kowtowed quickly. "If you take off your pants and hang them outside, will you need to see anyone in the next life?" Before he could say a few words, the panda picked up his neck. His thick palms were bursting with veins, and he didn't know how much terrifying power they contained. He lifted the boy in brocade clothes up like a chicken. "Wow!" The panda tore off his pants. Immediately, the young man in brocade screamed like a slaughtering pig and quickly clamped his legs together. "Ha ha, let your grandson rob Xuanhuan's daughter on his territory." Zhang Zizai laughed loudly and bent over. Oops! There were many girls next to them, and their faces turned red with embarrassment. Amidst the screams of the young man in brocade clothes, the panda actually carried him, tied him up, and hung him outside in the busy market, causing a sensation for a while. "Zhang Zizai, you are a mortal insect abandoned by the gods. As the son of King Zilan, you don't even have a natal totem. When the god sacrifice day is over tomorrow, you are destined to be expelled from the Kailan royal clan and have nothing." Faintly, the shrill scolding voice of the young man in brocade could be heard. For a moment, everyone changed their colors and there was silence. Everyone dared not look at Zhang Zizai, fearing that he wouldn't be able to bear it. Mortal insects, this is the name given to those who, from the age of 9 until the age of 15, are unable to obtain the natal totems gifted by the gods in the Pillar of Origin. It's a form of contempt. There are mortal insects everywhere, but Zhang Zizai has a different identity. He is the youngest son of King Zilan. Tomorrow's God's Day is very critical for Zhang Zizai. It is his last chance. This young man in gilded clothes must have gone crazy to say such outrageous things. "Boss, should I kill him?" Next to Zhang Zizai, there was a young man in white clothes holding a long sword. This is another of Zhang Zizai's sworn brothers. Like Panda, they both grew up together. Zhang Zizai called him Monkey. "Kill him and let him go." Even today, there are not many people who think like this. Zhang Zizai curled his lips nonchalantly. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. After a while, the panda also came back. With an angry look on his face, he also asked, "Boss, do I want to slap him?" Zhang Zizai chuckled and said, "No need, but help me find a few people to keep an eye on her here so that my grandson won't harm this girl again while I'm not here." The girl in white next to her and her parents haven't reacted yet. The young man in brocade had given her to Zhang Zizai. She thought she could not escape the bad luck, but she didn't expect that Zhang Zizai not only didn't want her, but also sent someone to protect her. Thank you, young prince. Thank you, young prince. The family of three burst into tears and regarded Zhang Zizai as a great benefactor. Zhang Zizai smiled and said, "Don't be like this. Xuanhuan is a man who has seen the world. I can't stand your beauty. Otherwise, I would have snatched you into the house." Poof. The girl smiled through her tears. She knew that Zhang Zizai was joking, and she could tell from his eyes that he was not that kind of person. Maybe many people think that he is also an ignorant playboy. But she knew today that he was a gentleman. It's just that he was a bit foolhardy. She burst into tears with gratitude. When she raised her head, she didn't know where the great benefactor was. A quarter of an hour later, Zhang Zizai lay lazily on the roof basking in the sun. The panda and the monkey sit cross-legged on both sides, with upright bodies and full of vitality. This is the difference between practitioners like Totem martial masters and ordinary people. They are Zhang Zizai's sworn brothers. They have been hanging out together since they were young. Their relationship is almost the same as that of real brothers. Panda, named Lu Dingxing, his father was the deputy general and right-hand man of Zhang Zizai's father, King Zilan, and he rose to the rank of General Zhongli in the dynasty. He is a good man. The monkey's name is Xuanhuan. He has no background. He used to be a wandering beggar. When he was 6 years old, he was brought back by Zhang Zizai, who gave him a new life. But this guy's talent is truly terrifying, and he lives up to Zhang Zizai's efforts in cultivating him over the years. The training resources given by his parents were all given to Xuanhuan if he could not use them. When they were 9 years old, they both worshipped the Origin Divine Pillar and obtained their natal totems. Since then, they have made rapid progress. Now they have opened 5 spiritual apertures and reached the 5th level of the martial life realm. At the age of 15, those who have achieved such an achievement in this great Zhonghuang city are considered top-notch geniuses. Without a natal totem, it is impossible to change the fate of mortals. When mortals communicate with the Pillar of Origin, they gain the recognition of the Pillar of Origin, receive the gift of the gods, and obtain the Totem of Life. The natal totem is located between the eyebrows. When received, the natal totem will open up the shenting point at the center of the mortal's eyebrows and plant the seeds of true energy. Only then can the mortal begin to enter the martial arts and start practicing. The natal totem is the foundation of cultivation. The biggest feature of the martial life realm is the 9-point fixed totem. After opening the shenting Ake appointment, one enters the first level of the martial life realm. After that, using the totem fixing method, each time an Ake appointment is opened to form a totem spiritual aperture, one level of cultivation progresses. Until the 9 acupuncture points on the body are opened, the martial life realm is complete. Before he was 9 years old, no one would have thought that King Zilan's youngest son would live such an idle life today. In the same year, Zhang Zizai, together with Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, worshipped the Pillar of Origin, but that year, he got nothing. The sooner you get the totem and the sooner you practice, it will be enough to create a huge gap between you and those who are less talented. Zhang Zizai was very disappointed that year, but his parents and elders said that he just didn't succeed in the first year, so it doesn't matter, and he will continue to work hard next year. In the blink of an eye, he is 15 years old, and he returns disappointed every year. He is indeed not a person favored by the gods. By now he was used to it and was ready to live an ordinary life. The panda Lu Dingxing looked at the leisurely and contented Zhang Zizai, hesitated for a long time, and then said, "Boss, you didn't take what Zhang Zhou said just now to your heart. I believe you will succeed tomorrow." Zhang Zizai spat out the leaves in his mouth with a puff, smiled, and said, "I asked you why you are so sentimental. You are not a girl. My brother told you a long time ago that the natal totem is from God. I can't care about that. I guess I just don't like God. I will definitely not have any totem tomorrow, so don't worry about it." Even if I can't become a totem martial artist, I will still have enough food and clothing in this life. They are so familiar and have been hanging out together every day for 9 years. When he was 9 years old, he ran to the mountains without telling his parents and became sworn brothers. Zhang Zizai was a few months older, so he naturally became the eldest. Lu Dingxing was the second, and Monkey Suqianyu was the third. In fact, Suqianyu is 1 month older than Lu Dingxing, but according to Zhang Zizai, because Lu Dingxing is strong, the second child should be a little stronger. This has a better meaning. To this day, they laugh loudly every time they think of this meaning. At this time, Zhang Zizai stood up and said cheerfully, "Don't worry about it, you two. Although according to the rules of the clan, if I don't get my natal totem tomorrow, I will be deprived of my status as the son of the Southern King. It can be considered as expelling the Kailan royal family, but it doesn't look at who my father and my brother are. With my identity gone, I still stay in the Purple Lin Mansion. When people see me, they have to call me Little Prince, and I am still happy and comfortable in this great Xuanhuan city. For my identity, the so-called expulsion from the clan it's just a ritual." He was quite optimistic. Indeed, his parents said a long time ago that no matter what the clan rules were, Zhang Zizai would always be their son. This was a fact that could not be changed. However, the son of the royal clan leader turned out to be a mortal insect and was expelled from the clan. This has indeed never happened since ancient times. His father, Zilan King Zhongyunting, the king of the south, rules the southern kingdom. He was a super genius when he was young. He was in charge of Zhonghuang city at the age of 30. At the age of 40, whether in terms of strength or status, he could be said to be inferior to one person and superior to hundreds of millions of people in the dynasty. His elder brother, Crown Prince of the South Zhang Junjian, was 20 years old and invincible in the world at his age. It was said that not even the emperor's princes and princesses could compare with him. Although he is young, he has outstanding military achievements. Now he is following his father, King Zilan, to take charge of the Huangtian Pass, and he has reached the rank of General Xuanhuan. His powerful and prestigious father, his young, stable, loyal and wise brother are all Zhang Zizai's role models. Especially for Zhang Junjian, King Zilan was not in the house when he was young. His eldest brother was his father and gave Zhang Zizai a lot of guidance. With them here, even if he lives as a mortal insect for the rest of his life, although he will be subject to some rumors, at least no one will dare to bully him head-on. Besides, I have an older sister who is practicing in the Xuanhuan mansion, and my future achievements will be unlimited. I have older brothers and sisters to take up my father's mantle, so it's not my turn to worry, he. With his brother and sister supporting him in front of him, he felt very relaxed. Even if he can't become a totem martial artist, he doesn't feel any pressure. Between brothers and sisters, blood is thicker than water. Both brother and sister love Zhang Zizai very much. Besides, Zhang Zizai stretched out his arms and hung them on the shoulders of Panda and Monkey, and said, "I still have you two buddies. You will prosper in the future. Just remember to protect me. If you can't practice, I'll go into business and collect more elixirs and mines. If you want any cultivation resources, just ask your brothers, haha." He had already thought about it. Without God's blessing and his natal totem, he would just go into business. Using his capital and brains to gather wealth will also help his family and brothers in the future. Lu Dingxing was very excited and said, "Boss, please don't say that. If you can't practice, I will protect you for the rest of your life." Zhang Zizai patted his head and said, "You are so excited that I will be crippled in the future. I should learn more from the monkeys and be calmer." Suqianyu next to him smiled and didn't say much. Thinking about Kailan Club, Zhang Zizai asked. Suqianyu nodded. Zhang Zizai patted him on the shoulder and said, "Go to retreat. This matter is too important. The reputation of our Zilan mansion depends on you too. The other four-line Kylan royal family has been very arrogant recently. Let me see if I can. You can't try to trick them, your future is very important, brother, I have to focus on paving the way for you. Okay, I'll leave first. Xuanhuan stood up. Go. After Xuanhuan left, Zhang Zizai and Lu Dingxing were left behind. Lu Dingxing was still worried about the sacrifice to the gods tomorrow. Zhang Zizai was speechless and said with a smile, "You are just one-sided. I have already figured it out and you haven't figured it out yet. Go and listen to a little song to soothe your mood." "Ah, I won't go. My mother said I can't go anywhere when I'm still young." Lu Dingxing became anxious. "You're such a big guy, and you're still a mother all day long. Besides, you just listen to some songs, don't be shy, haha." Even if tomorrow's events are always a little disappointing, Zhang Zizai is still fearless and smiles all over his face. Suddenly, the air became quiet. It turned out that there was a little girl of 12 or 13 years old standing on the street below. She was wearing a light pink skirt. She was smart and playful, but now her face was pale and her body was trembling as she looked at Zhang Zizai. "Brother, something happened." Her voice was as shaky as a thread, ready to break at any moment. This girl is Zhang Zizai's cousin, named Ruo Xiaoyu. Her mother is Zhang Zizai's aunt. However, it is no longer there. Zhang Zizai had a bad feeling. What does an accident mean to his family? It's a big thing. It has something to do with my uncle and eldest brother. The imperial edict from the Yanlong ruins has arrived. They asked you to go back quickly to receive the edict. The girl's eyes were red and tears were rolling. Yanlong ruins, that is the imperial city of the Yanlong dynasty. My father, my brother. How could something happen to them? Zhang Zizai's heart was about to jump out of his body. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 2. Dong. Dong Dong. One day before the day of offering sacrifices to the gods, heavy drum beats suddenly sounded in the sky above the Daejiang King city. Every vibration made the ground tremble, and the noisy city suddenly became dead silent. People knew that this was the summoning order of the Kylan royal family of the Daejiang Palace, summoning the five-veined Kylan royal family to gather at the Daejiang Palace. As for what happened, no one knew for the time being. When the drum beats rang out, Zhang Zizai, Lu Dingxing, and Ruo Xiaoyu had already returned to the Daejiang Palace. Every heavy drum beat was like a heavy punch, hitting Zhang Zizai's chest, making it difficult for him to breathe. Purple Kylan Terrace. This is an important occasion in the Daejiang Palace. In the past, it was a place where grand events were held and major events were announced. This place is vast and boundless, with 5 tall flags erected around it. Among them, on the central flag, there is an embroidered purple Kylan totem. The Kylan is surrounded by 9 thunders, looking down on the sky, with vast divine power. Although it is just a totem pattern, its momentum is enough to make people solemn and awed. This is the faith totem of the 5 veins Kirin royal family, the purple Kirin clan. The other 4 flags are the fire Kirin, the black Kirin, the yellow Kirin, and the golden Kirin. The 5 Kirin clans, thunder is the most respected. The current purple Kirin king Zhongyunding, his totem has evolved to the level of the 9 tribulations heavenly Kirin totem, which is already the pinnacle of the Yanlong dynasty. The 9 tribulations heavenly Kirin totem is one of the 8 super totems of the Yanlong dynasty, comparable to the Yanhuang holy dragon totem. In fact, there are only 2 people in the Yanlong dynasty who have the 8 super totems, and the other 6 have not appeared for a long time. That is, the current Emperor Yanlong Emperor and the purple Kirin king of the Kirin royal family. When the purple Kirin king was young, he helped the Yanlong Emperor win the throne, and then fought in the south and the north to expand the territory, and his achievements were unparalleled. He is upright and magnanimous, with strict discipline, and is highly praised. Now that the world is peaceful, Zhang Yunting sits in the southern Huangtian Pass of the imperial dynasty to resist the southern source beast and protect the peace of the southern country. For the people, King Zilan is a capable and loyal minister of his generation, who has done his best for the people of the world. His halo is recorded in legendary works among the people. How could such a legendary and beloved existence go wrong? Zhang Zizai is still at a loss. On the Purple Kirin stage, among many important figures of the Kirin royal family, stood a beautiful woman in palace dress. She was dressed luxuriously, with a plump and slender figure, and a graceful and dignified appearance. She seemed to be gentle, but in fact, there was majesty hidden in her face, which made people feel awe. But at this time, even she was as pale as paper, her red lips trembled slightly, and her eyes were more rosy. She was Zhang Zizai's mother, Princess Ruohua. When the Purple Kirin King was in charge of the desolate Heaven Pass, she was in charge of all the affairs of the great Zhang County. Of course, she was also the woman that Zhang Zizai respected the most. Zhang Zizai's greatest pleasure on weekdays was to make his busy mother laugh. But at this time, everything was different. Beside Princess Ruohua, the strong and noble people of the Kirin royal family had arrived. The Five Veins Kirin was divided into 5 mansions, with the Purple Kirin mansion being the most respected. The mansion masters and elders of the Golden Kirin mansion, the Fire Kirin mansion, the Yellow Kirin Fu, and the Black Kirin mansion were all on the left and right of Princess Ruohua. These high-ranking top masters all looked solemn at this time. It seemed that they had heard the news, and under the solemn look, what was their mood, that was unknown. Everyone's eyes were focused on the Purple Kirin platform. At that position, there was a source beast flying bird, holding a golden scroll that was 10 times larger than its body. That was the imperial edict from the Flame Dragon Emperor. Source beasts are a strange and powerful beast in this world. They are born from heaven and earth and share this world with all people. This flying bird without feathers but with golden dragon scales is the source beast pterosaur tamed by the Flame Dragon royal family, which is specially used for communication. The imperial edict has come. When the imperial edict opened by itself and burned with golden flames, a pressure like from heaven pressed down on everyone's head. Everyone, as if a huge rock was on their head, had to kneel down to accept the imperial edict. Zhang Zizai put away his past smile and trembled in his heart. For the first time, he felt the imperial power from the Flame Dragon royal family. Kailan royal family, accept the edict. In the eyes of the crowd, the golden flame scroll was quickly pulled open and spread out. The golden flames burned on the surface of the scroll, reflecting everyone's face. Suddenly, a golden figure appeared in the scroll, with a peerless imperial power, so that everyone could only bow their heads, or even crawl on the ground. Although it was not the Flame Dragon Emperor himself, it was scary enough. Zhang Zizai gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He was a little unwilling, but he couldn't resist. It's going to be announced. Everyone was suffocating and waiting. Sure enough. The Flame Dragon Emperor's heavy, deep, and majestic voice surpassed the previous drum sound and shook the entire great Zhongqing city. He said, "Last night, there was a drastic change in the desolate Heaven Pass." This sentence made Zhang Zizai's heart rise to his throat. He wanted to cough to relieve it, but found that he couldn't cough. My brother, Zilan King Zhang Yunting, has greatly disappointed me. Boom. This was a huge uproar. Even the people outside couldn't breathe at this time. He actually betrayed the dynasty and the people, secretly communicated with the Xiaoming kingdom, opened the Huangtian Pass, and attracted tens of thousands of ferocious source beasts to rush into the heartland of our dynasty. Overnight, hundreds of thousands of people were killed and injured, and the mountains and plains were full of people, and the people were devastated. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. Boom. It was like thunder, making an explosion-like sound above the great Zhongqing city. Zhang Zizai's mind was completely blank. Tens of thousands of ferocious source beasts rushed into the heartland of the dynasty, facing the unarmed people, a wanton massacre. Wives and children were separated, and families were broken up. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. Huangtian Pass is the first pass of the dynasty. If it were not for its important strategic location, how could King Zilan be in charge in person? There is solid evidence for this matter. Zhang Yunding did it, and tens of thousands of soldiers of the Kailan Corps witnessed it with their own eyes. To this day, the soldiers of the Kailan Corps are still fighting with the source beasts at the border, and they have suffered heavy casualties. And Zhang Yunding, after opening the desolate Heaven Pass, has already defected. Zhang Zizai was of course the first one who didn't believe such an incredible thing. His father was the role model he had admired and worshipped since he was a child. He was his belief. His integrity and heroism were the most valuable qualities. He knew his father better than anyone else. It was impossible for him to betray his country, let alone personally cause 100,000 deaths and injuries. However, what the Flame Dragon Emperor said was that what he saw with his own eyes were all soldiers of Zhang Yunding's own Kailan Corps. In addition, the desolate Heaven Pass has been passed down for a long time, and the checkpoints are complicated. Only Zhang Yunding can open it. Besides, if he didn't do it, why did he defect? Zhang Zizai couldn't kneel down anymore. He sat on the ground and wanted to speak up for his father, but at this moment even his tongue was trembling. 100,000 people were killed and injured, and all the contributions of Zhang Yunding added up were not worth his faults. His mind was extremely confused. On one hand, there was solid evidence, and on the other hand, it was unbelievable. Xiaming Kingdom was to the west of Yanlong Dynasty, and the two countries had many disputes. Although Huangtian Pass was in the south, as long as it was broken, it would be equivalent to causing internal and external troubles for Yanlong Dynasty. Moreover, Yanlong Emperor had ironclad evidence. At this time, flames rose on the scroll, countless fireworks gathered together, and the smoke changed, forming a picture. The towering wall in the picture was Huangtian Pass. A purple figure blasted away the blocking generals, and personally took action to shatter the gate of Huangtian Pass from the inside. Seeing it with his own eyes, it was really Zhang Yunding. Zhang Zizai spit out a mouthful of blood with a puff, and he was already furious at this time. However, he still shook his head, he didn't believe it. His father was not like this, he was a peerless hero. On the scroll, Emperor Yanlong snorted coldly and continued, "The Kailan royal family has assisted Yanlong for 10,000 years, and their merits are great. The matter of desolate Heaven Pass has nothing to do with you. From now on, the Five Veins Kailan must purge the internal traitors, be upright, and thank the world with merits. As for Zhang Yunding, he has committed a capital crime, and I must arrest him personally. A big reward will be given to those who report his whereabouts." In addition, Emperor Yanlong lowered his head and glanced at Zhang Zizai's family as if he was looking at this place. Nan Wang's son Zhang Junjian, and the loyal and brave General Lu Yuan, are suspected accomplices. They have been escorted to Yanlongxiu to wait for conclusive evidence and beheaded on a chosen day. His beloved brother, and Lu Dingxing's father, that generous man, became criminals. I still remember that when he was young, Zhang Junjian helped him to take the blame when he was naughty and made mistakes. He always took my place, got beaten until his butt was red and swollen, but still told me seriously that it was because he, as the elder brother, failed to discipline me and should be punished. And now, he wants to be executed on a chosen day. As for whether there are accomplices in the great Zhongqing city, I have also sent people to investigate. I decree this." After the last two words, it was indeed over. Everything about Zhang Zizai was also disrupted. His father committed treason and heinous crimes, and his whereabouts were unknown. The elder brother became a criminal and was executed on a chosen day. In one day, the family changed dramatically. Looking up, the imperial edict had disappeared, and the purple unicorn totem flag was still flying, but the sky was covered with leaden clouds and the sun was not visible. It was as if there were several knives stuck in his chest, and blood was flowing down. It was a kind of knife that could not be pulled out no matter how hard he tried. The content of this imperial edict might be remembered for a lifetime. Now, his mind was still blank. He stood up suddenly, glanced around, and found that most people were confused like him. Mother. When he saw the woman in the center, he couldn't help but feel a pain in his heart. Because he knew that she must be more sad and painful than himself. One was her husband, and the other was her son. At this time, her face was pale and bloodless, like a withered flower, and her gray eyes looked at Zhang Zizai helplessly. You can see her inner pain. Seeing her like this, Zhang Zizai felt even more pain in his heart. He suddenly hated himself so much at this moment that he couldn't share her pain. At this time, the great Zhang Palace was leaderless. The faces of the palace masters of the other four veins of Kylin were also uncertain, and some even showed resentment. I just don't know whether it was directed at the Purple Kirin King or the Imperial Edict itself. The competition among the four veins of Kylin has existed since ancient times. It was because of Zhang Yunting that the Purple Kirin clan became the first palace in the past few decades. Now, Zhang Yunting is ruined. At this time, Princess Ruohua stood up and said, "Don't leave. Convene the Five Veins Conference immediately. All palace masters and elders will attend the meeting. The rest of you will be dismissed." Once the imperial edict came out, everyone in the world knew about it. This matter could not be concealed, let alone blocked. Zhang Zizai just felt more distressed for her. At this time, he had to pretend to be calm and stabilize the royal family. If she collapsed and made a fuss, the consequences would be disastrous. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. There are so many people in this world who take advantage of others' misfortunes. No matter how tough she was, Zhang Zizai could see that she was shaking in her heart when she spoke. Mother. Zhang Zizai walked forward. Go back to the mansion first, don't walk around, wait for mother to come back. Princess Ruohua smiled gently and said, "My child, don't worry, there must be a misunderstanding, mother will solve it. Don't worry." She was still considering her feelings, but Zhang Zizai was no longer a child. He knew that this matter was probably irreversible. King Zilan was away, and all important matters were handled by the Five Veins Conference. She had to deal with this situation urgently. After all, it was she who was supporting this family and Zilan mansion. Next, the Zikulan stage was dispersed. Some left directly, and some went to attend the Five Veins Conference. Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu were left behind. Although Lu Dingxing was such a big guy, his eyes were already red from crying. Ruo Xiaoyu, the little girl, squatted on the ground and sobbed, like a flower wet by heavy rain. "Boss, this is impossible. The king is not such a person. Brother Junjian and my father are not such people. Someone must have framed them. I'm going to Huangtian Pass to find the truth and clear their grievances." Lu Dingxing gritted his teeth. "Stop, go back to the mansion." Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. He was one of the three men in the family, his father and his brother. Now that such a big thing happened, he knew that he couldn't mess around. Invisibly, it seemed that all the burdens fell on his shoulders. However, an hour before, he still had nothing to do and planned to listen to a little song. "Boss. Are you afraid?" Lu Dingxing was anxious. "You can't solve the problem, calm down first. Do you doubt the king?" "I doubt you. That's my father. I don't know you as well as you do." Although Zhang Zizai is not a totem warrior, he has been around for a long time and has momentum. This shout finally calmed Lu Dingxing down. "Xiaoyu, let's go back first, don't cry. Zhang Zizai helped the little girl up with heavy eyes. He knew that he might not shed tears from today. This life, from this moment, has changed dramatically. Brother, wow. Ruo Xiaoyu couldn't help crying and wet his clothes. Back to the mansion, it finally stopped a little. The three of them waited for the return of Princess Ruohua. Maybe they could think of a solution at the Five Veins conference. Boss, do you think the other four palaces will help us? They have been suppressed for so long, they wish we would fall earlier so that they can take the position themselves, right? Lu Dingxing said with red eyes. Zhang Zizai stroked Ruo Xiaoyu's head gently, looked at the goldfish in the pool, and said lightly, that's right. Now the Flame Dragon Emperor means that we will not be held accountable to our great Zhang Palace for the time being. It's only our father and brother who are in trouble. Their chance has come. The four Kylan palaces are not easy to deal with. After such a big thing, you can't see the pain in their eyes. Now, let alone clearing the grievances for my father, it's not certain whether the Zilan Palace can still keep its position. But at this time, Zhang Zizai can't change anything. He can only struggle and feel depressed. At this time, he really wants to be like his father and brother, and become the kind of person who can change adversity. But God doesn't favor him. Without the natal totem, he can only be a porter after training for a lifetime, and at most his muscles will be a little stronger. Lu Dingxing said worriedly, according to the rules of the dynasty, if brother Junjian and the king cannot clear their grievances, you will inherit the throne in the end, but you must wait until you reach the holy body realm. However, if you do not get the natal totem during the last worship of the origin pillar tomorrow, you will not be able to reach the holy body realm at all. At that time, the holy body realm is the third major realm of cultivation. Zhang Junjian, a peerless genius, has reached this realm at the age of 20. The prince of the southern king is the heir to the throne. Zhang Zizai clenched his fists and gritted his teeth and said, yes, if I do not get the natal totem tomorrow, I will be deprived of my status as the son of the Purple Lin King. If my elder brother cannot clear his grievances, then my Purple Lin mansion will be without descendants, and the other four Kylans will be able to take the throne legitimately. Everything has changed. An hour ago, he was not worried about tomorrow's worship day at all. Because even if there is no good result, so what? With his father and brother around, he has no worries. But now, if he still fails and loses his identity, the whole family will be in even worse shape. Although his sister from the Hyuguo mansion is still there, according to the clan rules, the position of the royal clan leader cannot be inherited by a woman. My father has defected, at least he is not in danger of death now. The one who is really on the verge of life and death is my brother. And in this case, if the Four Veins Kylan wants to suppress my Zilan mansion and add insult to injury. Zhang Zizai has never been so sad in his life. It is his mother who is holding on outside now, but how can he be willing to let his mother fight with a group of villains? If I can also stand on my own. He really hates it? Why doesn't God want to give me a chance? Any natal totem is fine, I didn't need it before, but now, I need it. Zhang Zizai looked at the sky with fiery eyes. The new book has just been published and needs care. Please comment, send flowers, and add it to the bookshelf. If you want to contact the author and discuss the plot, please follow the WeChat account Fengqing Yang. The QR code of the WeChat group will be released today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 3. It wasn't until late at night that the Five Meridians conference ended, and Princess Ruohua returned to their Zilan mansion alone. Under the night, her red dress looked dim. She was once exquisite and charming, but she seemed to have aged a few years in just a few hours. In my memory, she has never been as sad as she is today. Compared with men, her shoulders are generally thinner. Today's incident, whether it is from the inside or the outside, may make her breathless. Only when she saw Zhang Zizai and the others, Princess Ruohua cheered up, tried her best to smile, and said softly, "It's so late, why don't you go and rest?" Zhang Zizai saw her changes. He really couldn't bear to see his mother working so hard and pretending like nothing happened in front of her children. Zhang Zizai quickly stepped forward to help her. He had actually calmed down a lot and asked, "Mom, how is the situation?" "I haven't found a solution, but don't worry, there must be some misunderstandings. Your father will find a way to solve Junjian's matter. My mother will also work hard to let the truth come out one day. She knows Zhang Yunting better. Do you know what's going on?" Ruohua shook his head and said, "I don't know. Even she doesn't know." But there was one thing she said made sense. Zhang Yunting cherishes this family so much. He just defected and was not imprisoned or dead. He would definitely find a way himself. You should rest early and don't worry too much. We have to go to the origin altar tomorrow, Ruohua said softly. Zhang Zizai had many questions that he wanted to ask, but he knew that Ruohua would not tell him. She just wanted to bear it and deal with it. Good. He obeyed and returned to the room. Not long after, Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu came back. Zhang Zizai asked them to go out and inquire about the 5 Meridians conference. When the two came back, they were indeed filled with indignation. Ruo Xiaoyu burst into tears, threw herself into Zhang Zizai's arms and said, "Brother, they have gone too far. They should be the other 4-line unicorns." Lu Dingxing said, "Boss, I heard that they did not doubt the authenticity of the imperial edict, but they condemned King Zilin's crimes at the 5 Meridians conference." Everyone was filled with righteous indignation, as if they were really angry for the dead person. It seems that Zilin Mansion is a criminal. Sure enough, they not only add insult to injury, but also distance themselves from each other. They are really a bunch of villains. Before their father's accident, they were all smiling and flattering, but now they have turned against each other. Ruo Xiaoyu cried and said, "I heard that you are also the son of a sinner. Tomorrow is the god's sacrifice day. If you don't get your natal totem, you will be completely ruined. If brother Junjian is really killed, we, Zilin, will be completely eliminated from the 5 Meridians conference. The government has the right to speak. I guess we have discussed it and let us move out of Daejiang King City." She was usually a very proud little girl, but now she was so angry that her eyes were red and her tears kept rolling. Son of sinners. Zhang Zizai smiled coldly and even thought of the name for himself. As soon as the imperial edict was issued, he jumped up and down. He was really impatient. Thinking of his mother's tired look just now, he knew how angry she had been at the 5 Meridians conference. What he hates most is someone hurting someone he loves. Late at night, he caressed Ruo Xiaoyu's back, looked through the darkness, and made a vow. "If I, Zhang Zizai, are given a chance to turn around, I will give everything I have to become a strong person from now on." Tossing and turning on the bed until early in the morning, Zhang Zizai fell asleep for a while despite his headache. Suddenly, he woke up in a wilderness. Surrounded by towering mountains, they looked like demons overlooking the world. The air was filled with the strong smell of blood. When I looked down, I saw that there were corpses everywhere and rivers of blood. After the source beast wreaked havoc, none of the corpses were complete. Broken limbs and broken arms were everywhere. A blood-stained head was right at his feet. Zhang Zizai was so frightened that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. This is near Huangtian Pass. These tragic corpses are the most ironclad evidence that Zilin King Zhang Yunting committed a serious crime. Why am I here? Zhang Zizai's hair suddenly rose as he looked at the surrounding mountains. Suddenly, a gap opened in the gray sky, and a man entangled by 9 thunderbolts, wearing a battle armor, appeared in front of Zhang Zizai. This man has a majestic appearance, but he is also gentle and elegant. Dad, Zhang Zizai couldn't believe that his father actually appeared in front of him. The man did not speak. His face looked a little tired. Only when he looked at Zhang Zizai did he reveal a smile. Zhang Zizai noticed that there was a black and simple box on his palm, which seemed to have a long history. At this moment, the man opened the box. Suddenly, the color of the world changes. The surrounding demon-like mountains began to collapse, the rivers in the distance flowed backwards, and the ground began to crack, sucking in the corpses one by one. The grey sky suddenly shattered like glass, and countless black demonic energies poured into the world from the cracks. The world is falling apart, all because of opening this box. Zhang Zizai lowered his head and saw that there was a small long black snake coiled in the box. Cold eyes were staring at Zhang Zizai. If you look closely, you will see that it is not a long snake, but a black dragon. Being in the Yanlong dynasty, one can naturally distinguish between divine dragons and snake dragons. This is definitely a dragon, a black dragon. Since its appearance, the world has been turned upside down. The indifferent eyes and overwhelming momentum made Zhang Zizai unable to breathe. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Wow! The black dragon suddenly opened its mouth, and Zhang Zizai could clearly see that there was a black petal hidden in its mouth. At that moment, Zhang Zizai intuitively told him that these black petals might be more terrifying than the black dragon. Even the space around the petals began to collapse. And the black dragon's mouth was full of blood. Zhang Zizai was stunned. What are these? Before he could react, the black dragon in the box suddenly rushed towards him and hit him between the eyebrows in the blink of an eye. Ah! There was a sharp pain, and the sky was dark and the earth was dark. When he finally regained consciousness, he saw for the last time, in the distant sky, the man wrapped in divine thunder. He looked at him one last time in the crack in the sky, and then escaped into it. My child, how can we be like a thing in a pond? Once we rise up, we can swallow up mountains and rivers for hundreds of millions of miles. It's my father's voice, echoing in my head. Don't leave, he had too many things that he wanted to ask clearly. Unexpectedly, after shouting this voice, the world started spinning again. When he opened his eyes again, he suddenly found himself lying on the bed. He was covered in cold sweat and looked at the quilt covering him in a daze. It turned out to be a dream. I have never experienced such a real dream. The sweat on my palms told me that this was all fake. There was also the quilt on his body. He remembered that he had thrown it away in the middle of the night, and when he woke up, it was covering him. With a creak, the door opened, and Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu walked in. Brother, it's almost time, Ruo Xiaoyu called softly. Has mother come? Zhang Zizai touched the quilt on his body. He was just a mortal, so of course he was afraid of the cold. Well, my aunt asked you to sleep a little longer. She will go to the origin altar first. Her current identity still represents the Zilan mansion. A big day like the God Sacrifice Day certainly requires her to be busy with a lot of things. She came over and covered herself with a quilt, further proving that it was just a dream. Zhang Yunding, the box, the black dragon, the petals, the sky falling apart, everything is so mysterious. Only dreams can be like this. The day of sacrifice to the gods has arrived. On this day, in the entire Daejiang city, all the boys and girls who are over 9 years old but not over 15 years old and have not obtained their natal totem are eligible to worship the gods and ask for their natal totem. On the 5th day of September, a day that had annoyed Zhang Zizai for more than 7 years came again. Perhaps because of yesterday's imperial edict, today's God Sacrifice Day has become a bit weird, but worshipping the gods must still be done carelessly, otherwise it will make people gossip even more. Princess Xuanhuan naturally had to make various arrangements early in the morning. I don't know why, maybe because of that dream, Zhang Zizai also has some confidence in himself. After he finished washing, he went to the origin altar together with Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu. The divine pillar of origin is there. It is the core of the entire Dajiangqing city and the core of any huge city. Staying in the place closest to the pillar of origin is a symbol of power and strength. Without the pillar of origin, it would not be considered a big city. In this world, in disputes between countries, the biggest prize is not the territory, but the pillar of origin in the city. With one more pillar of origin, more totem martial artists can be born, making the country rich and the people strong. Talents all over the world start their path to martial arts from the divine pillar of origin. For example, when Lu Dingxing was 9 years old, he was gifted by the ancient gods and received the panda totem, inheriting his father's will. When he was 13 years old, his father found a suitable totem evolution source for him, and the panda totem evolved into the giant panda totem. The evolution of the totem is the most important. The higher the level of the totem, the greater the benefits it brings to the totem warrior. A totem evolution is basically a comprehensive upgrade of strength, potential, and talent. Of course, the source of evolution is hard to come by. Since ancient times, countless natal totems have appeared, and basically no new totems have appeared for tens of thousands of years. All totems can be found in detail in the historical book Totem Sacred Book. According to the effectiveness and potential of each major natal totem, the ancestors who compiled the Totem Sacred Book divided the natal totems into 4 levels of heaven, earth, black and yellow. The heaven level is the highest and the yellow level is the lowest. The panda totem is the yellow level natal totem, and the giant panda totem is the mysterious level totem. Of course, there are also totems that surpass the heaven level. The 8 super totems are in this category. The black and yellow colors of heaven and earth are no longer enough to cover such super totems. Zhang Zizai had seen his father's 9 tribulations heavenly Kirin totem with his own eyes. It looked like a true god. He also knew that his brother Zhang Junjian actually got the natal totem on the origin pillar when he was 8 years old, and it was directly a heaven-level natal totem. Directly obtain the heaven-level natal totem, this is the unparalleled genius in the past and the present. Of course, the natal totem of that level is recorded in the Totem Sacred Book, and it is the 3-eyed purple Kirin totem. The Kirin in the totem is born with 3 pupils. Relying on this heaven-level natal totem, Zhang Junjian's cultivation has made rapid progress, and he has surpassed the talents in the world. Of course, the rarer the totem and the more advanced the totem, the harder it is to evolve. Zhang Zizai's other sworn brother, Xuanhuan, has a very good talent. He was born in a commoner family. The first time he worshipped the origin pillar, he got a rare weapon-type totem, the 1,000-feather flying sword totem. This is a kind of Xian-level totem. However, for so many years, Zhang Zizai has not found a suitable evolution source for him to evolve to the level of Earth-level totem, otherwise he would be even more talented. He is in seclusion, and I'm afraid he doesn't know that such a big thing happened outside. There are not many evil geniuses like Zhang Junjian. It is rumored that there is a genius who directly awakens the Earth-level totem in Yanlongxiu. In other eras, it is indeed a peerless talent, but at this time, it can't be compared with Zhang Junjian. Now, Zhang Zizai has set foot on the road to the origin altar for the 7th time. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 4. The altar of origin is right in front of Prince Dajiang's mansion. Even within Prince Dajiang's mansion, you can see the huge, majestic origin pillar towering into the clouds when you look up. That is the gift of the ancient gods and the source of martial arts. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Legend has it that in the ancient centuries, the world was originally a world where origin beasts were raging. Mortals had no power and multiplied like rats crossing the street. Until one day, the ancient gods sympathized with the sufferings of mortals, built the divine pillar of origin, and gave mortals their natal totems. Only then could mortals truly build their own homes and live and work in peace and contentment. It is said that on the god sacrifice day, the ancient god will appear in person above the clouds and overlook all living beings. Today is the grandest day of the year. From Daejeon City, as well as from many surrounding small towns, boys and girls of appropriate age had arrived early and were waiting patiently in the vast altar of origin. Of course, the Kylin royal family in Daejeon County has privileges. They do not need to crowd with ordinary people. They have a special passage that leads to the bottom of the pillar of origin. In addition, they have other special perks. For example, when ordinary people worship and come into contact with the divine pillar of origin, a group of hundreds of people gather around the divine pillar of origin, which is at least 10 feet in diameter, to receive the gifts of the ancient gods. As for the five-line Kylin royal family, as well as some descendants of those with high status, they naturally go up alone, so that they have the greatest chance of getting their natal totem. There is no way. Strictly speaking, the god sacrifice day only lasts for half a day. This precious time must be used according to the strict level. On this day, Princess Xuanhuan led the people of the royal city to worship the ancient god. The entire ceremony took an hour. Next, the boys and girls worshipped separately and then received the gifts. Everyone is extremely sincere, but if their hearts are not sincere, how could the ancient gods give them gifts? Zhang Zizai woke up relatively late. When they rushed to the pillar of origin from the special passage, it was estimated that groups of hundreds of people had already begun to accept the gift. Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu were both extremely nervous. "Boss, this is the sincerity flower that I planted sincerely. If you bring it with you when you worship, maybe the ancient god will be merciful." Lu Dingxing held a bouquet of white flowers and presented it to Zhang Zizai. Despite his majestic appearance and burly figure, his biggest hobby is planting flowers and plants. The gentle energy when gazing at flowers and plants is particularly scary. "Giant panda, if this thing of yours doesn't work, don't show it to embarrass yourself." Ruo Xiaoyu rolled her eyes. They quickened their pace. Zhang Zizai once again saw the divine pillar of origin that contained astonishing power. Once again being exposed like this, I felt mixed emotions in my heart. How could he not envy Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan for having their own natal totems? How could you not envy your elder brother Zhang Junjian for his peerless elegance? As the son of King Zilan, he was born to be strong. He didn't know what he did wrong. Just as they were approaching the origin altar, they didn't expect that there would be someone later than them. They arrived late at this time, but with their faster speed, they caught up with Zhang Zizai. The two teams met here and their eyes crossed. The main character among them is a young man in golden robe. His figure is tall and straight, slightly majestic, his complexion is fair, his eyes are peach blossoms, and there is always a look of pride between his eyebrows. Zhang Zizai was particularly familiar with this person. He was one of the 5 lineage unicorns, Zhang Junduo, the son of Zhang Lao, the master of Jinlin Mansion. Because the two are close in age, they have often been compared in recent years. Zhang Junduo also awakened his natal totem at the age of 9. Although it was only a yellow-level natal totem at the beginning, when he was 10 years old, his father found a suitable source of evolution for him. His natal totem evolved into a mysterious level totem and became a red-gold unicorn totem. Now, every move, expression and eyes are filled with the anger and power of a red-gold unicorn, which is very frightening. Although his talent was average, his father assisted him with various resources and elixirs, and like Lu Dingxing, he had cultivated to the 5th level of the martial life realm. However, no matter how powerful he is and his status is different, in the past, when meeting the little prince, he had to be respectful. There was a pair of looks in his eyes today, and it was obvious that his mentality had changed. He hurried past, but there was a trace of ridicule in the corner of his mouth, and he said in a deliberately surprised tone, "Hey, Isn't this the young prince? Why are you late this year? He was so pious in the past few years. It is said that before dawn, he will be here. I have been kneeling in front of the pillar of origin for a long time. Cousin, this year is different. After all, it's just a formality to end my career as the son of Zilan King. If I were him, I wouldn't embarrass myself today. The one who took the conversation was a 9-year-old child next to him. He had just reached Zhang Junduo's chest and still had a childish look on his face. Although he was not very old, his sinister tone was very well learned. Zhang Junduo put on a serious face and said, "Children, don't talk nonsense, you will make the young prince cry. Let's see if your parents don't teach you a lesson." After saying that, he looked at Zhang Zizai with a smile and said, "Don't be angry, little prince. This guy is coming to worship the Pillar of Origin for the first time this year. He is not as experienced as you. Please take care of me when the time comes." Guidance. The two of them were chatting, laughing, shaking their heads, and surpassed Zhang Zizai and the others as if no one else was around. As the saying goes, when a tiger falls and is bullied by a dog, that's probably what it feels like today. Zhang Zizai's backer had fallen. He had expected that if he didn't live up to his expectations, such mockery would become commonplace in the future. "Boss, don't be angry. When the Kylin Club arrives, I will beat Zhang Junduo up to vent your anger," Lu Dingxing said bitterly. The rich experience of the god-worshipping day is the most ruthless humiliation. Zhang Zizai spread his hands and said nothing more. It's useless to say anything now. He looked up at the origin pillar and inexplicably remembered the huge and strange dream yesterday. "Dad, are you giving me guidance?" He stepped into the origin altar and looked around. There were really a lot of people here. The drastic changes yesterday did not affect the grandeur of the god-worshipping day at all. The Kylin royal family, high up on the altar, led all beings to worship. Below, there were tens of thousands of boys and girls, lined up in a uniform manner, waiting for the arrival of the most important moment in their lives. They were all very nervous, standing unsteadily, restless, with their heartbeats speeding up, especially when their names were called. Blood immediately rushed to their heads. Many mortals long for the gift of the gods to change the fate of this life. Zhang Zizai saw his mother, who was presiding over the overall situation with the other four-veined Kylin palace masters. Under the scorching sun, her face was bleak, and even if she tried her best to maintain it, it was still difficult to hide the uneasiness and depression in her heart. Only when she saw Zhang Zizai coming and saw her son looking at her did she show a smile on her face. Today is Zhang Zizai's most important opportunity. She wants her son to have the strength to support himself. Zhang Zizai remembers the love of his parents in his heart. On the origin altar, 100 boys and girls, after worshipping, stood nervously around the origin pillar. They closed their eyes, their arms trembled, and touched the ancient relief and patterns of the origin pillar. Each person only has 10 breaths of time, which is enough to reveal the answer. Those who have not gained anything within these 10 breaths have failed, and it is useless to wait any longer. Zhang Zizai looked at the towering god of origin with a fiery gaze. Suddenly, the first natal totem appeared. The arm of one of the young men shone, and a fiery red light flashed on the god of origin, passing through his arm and reaching his forehead. Boom! A fiery red mark was imprinted on his forehead. The lines of the mark were simple, but it vividly outlined a fiery red tiger with flames burning around it. Buzz! The mark vibrated once and suddenly expanded, forming a huge flaming tiger's phantom on its head, roaring to the sky. This is the totem. Sujiyan. Flame Tiger Totem, Yellow Level. For a moment, the entire origin altar was filled with envious exclamations. The young man immediately became the dazzling core. Even though the phantom had been retracted and the totem mark on his forehead had dimmed and hidden, he was still the center of attention. "Dad, Mom, if you are in heaven, your child finally succeeded. The young man knelt on the ground, tears welling up in his eyes. Thank the ancient gods first, idiot, the adult next to him reminded him. No matter what, his life had changed. His joy formed a sharp contrast with the sorrow of the remaining 99 people. Among this group of hundreds of people, only he stood out and was chosen by the ancient gods to change his fate against the will of heaven. Next, groups of people went up, and with the appearance of each totem, dozens of times more people were dejected and eliminated. Zhang Zizhe, who used to be one of them, was also one of them. After a short half-day, tens of thousands of civilian teenagers had completed the worship. Today's day of worship was actually the most exciting moment. Those who went up now were basically descendants of totem martial artists. The probability of them awakening their natal totems was more than 10 times that of ordinary people. The higher the status, the later they appeared quickly. Moreover, they are obviously younger, and most of them are children aged 9 or 10. According to experience, most of the totems awakened after the age of 10 are useless. Wan Qian, Giant Sword Totem, yellow level. Jiangsuo, Red Rabbit Totem, not up to the level. Some totems are indeed too lazy to be recorded in the totem canon because their growth is extremely limited. Although awakening such a totem will make the totem warrior laugh, it actually has the opportunity to evolve, and it is at least much better than the mortal insect. And even if they are all yellow level, because of the difference in totems, there will be huge differences in future growth. For example, the previous Flame Tiger Totem is much stronger than the Fire Monkey Totem of the same level. The later the day of worship, the more rare and powerful totems will appear. The probability of the descendants of the totem warriors going up one after another to get the natal totem is about 1 in 2. And many amazing geniuses, at the age of 9, can get the totem that makes the whole audience cheer and envy, and become the focus of everyone for a while. Some of them will even be absorbed by the Kylin royal family and serve the royal family. When the descendants of the Kylin royal family appeared, the scene really became hot. Because the children at this time are all 9 years old, and the youngest is 10 years old, and the probability of success is close to 80%. The remaining 20% will basically succeed next year. These 9-year-old children can easily get the natal totem with great potential, and they are naturally overjoyed, in exchange for countless envious eyes. Zhang Zhengzhen. Suddenly a name was read, which made Zhang Zizhe a little unhappy. The one whose name was called, very proud, and strode towards the Pillar of Origin, was the 9-year-old child who had come with Zhang Zhenduo before. He looked particularly confident, and even when he was worshipping the ancient gods, he seemed careless. Zhang Zizhe was also like this when he was 9 years old, and he believed that he would definitely get his natal totem. This chapter is not yet finished, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. His appearance attracted the attention of many powerful people. It seemed that the master of the Four Veins Kylin mansion was discussing this child, but Ruohua did not interrupt. At this time, Zhang Zhengzhen touched the Pillar of Origin with his palm. Boom! In an instant, the Pillar of Origin burst into a ray of light, and the golden light hit the center of his eyebrows with his arm, forming a golden totem mark. Buzz! The mark expanded and vibrated, forming a golden Kylin, without roaring, with a cold face, looking down on the world. The most obvious feature is its thick golden mane, which spreads in the wind like a lion. Congratulations to Jinlin Mansion. Zhang Zhengzhen directly awakened the golden mane Kylin totem, a Xian-level totem. The future is limitless. As soon as these words came out, the whole audience was shocked and cheered. This was the first Xian-level totem born today, and it is likely to be the only one. The applause and countless envious eyes were all focused on the young boy. Zhang Zhengzhen had an expression that was not expected, pretending to be calm, but he could not hide his inner ecstasy. The future belongs to me. He clenched his fists and roared at the tens of thousands of teenagers below. He already had the power of the golden mane Kylin. Directly awakening the Xian level totem is indeed a top talent. Zhang Xian, congratulations. The owner of Hualin Mansion, Zhang Entropy, was wearing a red robe, and his dark red eyes were calm. At this time, he slightly bowed and said to a man in a golden robe next to him. The man in the golden robe was much more sturdy, and his flesh and blood looked like gold. He was the lord of the golden scaled mansion, Zhang 11. At this time, he grinned and said, "Brother Entropy, stop talking like that. You and I both know that the totem is just a start. Whether this child will really have luck in the future depends on himself." Zhang 11 of the fire-scaled mansion stroked his long beard and looked at Zhang Zhengzhen with admiration, saying, "Golden Mane Kylin is pretty good among the Xian level totems." Zhang 11 nodded and said, "Yes." His eyes fell on Princess Ruohua in front of him. Looking at her exquisite and voluptuous figure, a hint of obscenity and desire flashed in his eyes. He controlled his thoughts very well and said, "Sister-in-law Ruohua, I heard that Zai will also come today. Why didn't I see him? Such a good opportunity, can't be given up casually." Princess Ruohua looked back at him and said, "He won't give up, and you don't have to worry about it." Zhang 11 smiled and said, "Actually, sister-in-law, I know you are under a lot of pressure. After all, brother Yunting has had this incident. If Zai is not a good person, his future is really bleak." He changed the subject and said with a smile, "However, the clan rules are dead. In the future, he will be an ordinary person in Zilan Mansion and live a life of wealth and glory. We will not have any objection. After all, we brothers have watched this child grow up." When Ruohua looked at him again, there was already murderous intent in her eyes. "Yunting's matter has not really been solved yet, so don't be so anxious to jump up and down like a monkey, or you will end up crying and begging for mercy on your knees." Zhang 11 was feeling proud, and naturally he was upset when Princess Ruohua said this. "Zhang 11, stop talking." Zhang Shang patted his shoulder. "Well, I've seen it 6 times anyway, so I'll watch it again." Zhang 11 shrugged, and he had already seen Zhang Zizai. It just so happened that it was the end of the show, and it was Zhang Zizai's turn. When his name was called, the whole audience suddenly fell silent. Even the boys and girls knew that if the youngest son of King Zilan was really so rotten, he would really have to be expelled from the Kylin royal family. When Zhang Zizai walked up to the altar and approached the Pillar of Origin, Zhang Yu pursed his lips, smiled strangely, sighed, and said, "Hey, if it weren't for brother Yunting, who did something that hurt the heavens, how could this child be so pitiful, despised by the heavens, and not even get his own natal totem? It's all karma." In front, Ruohua clenched his fists, and his nails pierced into the flesh of his palms. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 5. At this moment, everyone is paying attention. The origin pillar in front of him is full of ancient reliefs and patterns, like a giant pillar, towering into the clouds. Looking around, countless eyes are focused on the boy's thin body. Many teenagers, perhaps because they see their shadows in themselves, actually have pity in their eyes. Of course, there are also those who are jealous of their status. When they can't even get the most basic natal totem, their eyes are full of mockery. Looking back, my mother still has a gentle smile, giving me strong support. There are also Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu, who encourage me regardless of people's strange eyes. If there is a turnaround today, I must live for them in the future. Parents, brothers, and sisters. Even if it is Lu Dingxing and Xuanhuan, he treats them as brothers. It is a little regrettable that Xuanhuan didn't come today. Maybe he doesn't want to see his 7th failure. Zhang Zizai put aside all distractions and stared at the origin pillar in front of him again, the divine object that changed his fate. God, ancient gods, are they true or false? Those are all rumors. It is said that if you are sincere, you can get your natal totem. But is Zhang Zhengzhen sincere? No, he is careless. And ordinary teenagers, even before the day of offering sacrifices to the gods, knelt and kowtowed for 7 days under the pillar of origin without eating or drinking, but returned in tears. How can God be fair? Zhang Zizai, hurry up, don't waste time, the sun is about to set. The host saw him in a daze and urged him. Everyone couldn't wait any longer. You can even hear Zhang Junduo and Zhang Zhengzhen laughing. Little prince, go ahead, don't be afraid, it's not the first time. This caused a burst of laughter. If it were yesterday, even if Zhang Zizai failed today, they would not dare to say a word. Those strange eyes and harsh laughter pulled Zhang Zizai into a dark vortex. Suddenly, he remembered Zhang Yunding last night. He thought of the black dragon, the black petals, and the collapse of the sky and the crack of the earth. In the dark, there was a kind of desolation and anger in his heart. He forgot everything, stretched out his hand, and touched the origin pillar. Boom! When his palm touched the cold origin pillar, he felt dizzy for a while. Huh, everyone widened their eyes. The mockery on many people's faces suddenly froze. That's because something that had never happened in thousands of years actually happened. The origin pillar, which seemed to be made of rock, turned black from top to bottom at a rapid speed. It was not the light that shone, but the rock itself, which turned as black as ink. It was as if a black giant beast suddenly swallowed the origin pillar. For a while, the black shadow covered the origin altar. Even Zhang Zizai, at this moment, turned black all over his flesh and blood. Zhang Zizai could not see the changes in the origin pillar. What he saw at this moment was a scene that he would never forget in his life. Suddenly, he was in the endless starry sky. There were spheres surrounded by halos all around him. Each sphere was extremely huge, but he was shocked to find that he could see the surface of the sphere, which seemed to have oceans and land. He even saw source beasts and mortals. It seemed that there were endless worlds piled up around it. At this moment, a thunderous dragon roar sounded between heaven and earth. He turned back in horror and saw a huge snow-white dragon, like jade forging, colliding in the starry sky. Wherever it went, the ocean, land, mortals, and source beasts were all turned into ashes. The white dragon had bloodshot eyes and was extremely fierce, like a world-destroying god. Seeing that all the land and oceans were going to be destroyed. At the thrilling moment, Zhang Zizai suddenly changed again. I don't know when, a huge black petal appeared above the head of the white dragon. The petal was as big as the land. Zhang Zizai naturally remembered that the appearance of the petals was definitely the petals that he saw the black dragon holding in his dream. When the black petals appeared, they cast a dark light for a while, and covered the white dragon in the blink of an eye. At this time, the white dragon let out a series of mournful cries, and within the range of the light, it hit its head and bled. Then, the black light penetrated into the white dragon's body, and turned the white dragon into a dark black dragon. After turning black, the black dragon changed completely. He suddenly coiled together, motionless like a mountain, and the black petals fell in front of him, letting him hold it in his mouth. This scene was gloomy and terrifying. The whole world was silent. Suddenly, he was struck by lightning, because he felt that the black dragon saw him, and even a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This scene was like engraved in his heart and could not be erased. He was extremely confused, but at this moment, everything in front of him collapsed, and then gathered in an instant, turning into a pillar of origin that soared into the clouds. At this time, the black color on the pillar of origin just disappeared. Zhang Zizai only felt a sharp pain in his eyebrows, as if a beast had drilled into his head and was biting his head. His mind was in a mess, and he had no idea what was going on. When he tried to open his eyes and looked around, he found that people were also looking at him with their mouths wide open. Did they see the scene just now? This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Such a huge scene, beyond the dream, made him forget about his natal totem. However, he found that people were looking at his forehead. This made him react, and his heart fell into ecstasy. Could it be that I succeeded? With trembling hands, he took out a bronze mirror from his arms and pointed it at his face. He saw it. At the position of his forehead, a black dragon coiled into a large half-circle, and at the center of the circle was a black petal. Before he could see it clearly, the mark was hidden. But Zhang Zizai clearly found that he had transformed. Because he felt the opening of the Shenting point and the martial arts true Qi seed, even if it was particularly weak, it was enough to show that he succeeded. With this seed, he will be able to embark on the path of a totem martial artist in the future. It was the power of the totem that allowed him to open the Shenting point and plant the true Qi seed. It was difficult to calm down. If those images are real, it further proves that my totem is not simple. However, what level will it be? Xian level. This is his intuition at the moment. The black dragon, surrounded by black petals. He can't show the totem mark for the time being, that requires enough true energy. Is last night's dream related to this totem, but how can my father be related to the totem? This is a completely different existence, and my father is not an ancient god. So many mysteries, appearing like an explosion at this moment, made Zhang Zizai extremely confused. He felt that he needed time to digest it well. Suddenly, he was hugged by someone in a familiar embrace, warm and great. She can no longer hold him up like she did when she was a child, but those slender arms still let Zhang Zizai feel her love for him. Mother. Looking up slightly, he saw her eyes full of tears. Did I succeed? Until this moment, he was still doubting. As long as they succeed, it means that they don't need to sever the mother-son relationship in public because of the clan rules. They are clearly mother and son, why do they have to sever the relationship? Even in public, that won't work. Yet. Her nod was enough for Zhang Zizai. Moreover, if that's the case, with so many changes in the middle, Zhang Zizai absolutely believes that his natal totem must have hidden mysteries and must be strong. Finally, he can also work hard for his future. He looked at the origin pillar, and was extremely pious at this moment. His father said that no matter who it is, as long as they give you a little help when you are down, you need to remember it in your heart. What's more, this gift that can help him turn over. Brother, Ruo Xiaoyu also came and held Zhang Zizai's arm. Although she was smiling, her eyes were still red. Brother, Lu Dingxing was at a loss. He didn't dare to hug him, so he could only give himself a thumbs up. These are all relatives. Only they, like him, longed for the natal totem. He glanced at the high platform, and the faces of the four veins masters, at least 3 of them, were not so good. Zhang 11 was particularly gloomy, and he whispered to Zhang N, Brother N, it seems that our plan will have to be delayed for some time. Zhang N nodded and said, this situation is unexpected. Originally, as long as Zhang Zizai failed today, he would be directly expelled from the Kailan royal family. After a while, as long as Zhang Junjian asked for execution, the Zilan mansion would be equivalent to having no descendants. And Zhang Zizai, even if he only needed a garbage totem to keep his identity a little, they would be a little more difficult. At least, they couldn't make any moves today. Zhang Xian sneered and said, although there are some strange changes, it can be seen that there is not even the step of awakening. I'm afraid it's a low-level totem. Zhang Shang nodded and said, 15 years old, few who awaken at this time are good. The so-called awakening step refers to the totem entering the body, which will vibrate once and transform into a huge phantom. For example, the roaring flame tiger totem before, and the arrogant golden mane unicorn. In this way, people can clearly distinguish what kind of totem it is. Those without the step of awakening are basically low level. Therefore, the announcer hesitated for a long time and announced, Zhang Zizai, Without awakening, the totem seems to be a black snake, low level. Even some low-level totems can actually awaken. There are too few totems that do not awaken. Black snake. When these two words spread, many people's faces suddenly became strange. I couldn't help but laugh twice. I said, why did the origin pillar suddenly turn black for a moment? It turns out that it might be because a really low-class totem appeared. Black snake totem. But the purple scale king is the 9 tribulations heavenly Kirin totem, one of the 8 super totems. It is said that Princess Ruohua's totem has also surpassed the heavenly level, and is the Emperor Peony totem, a rare plant system totem. Shut up, don't talk nonsense. Someone quickly stopped the person who was talking. Because some things can't be said casually. Generally speaking, totems have an inheritance relationship. For example, the totem warriors of the Kirin royal family can basically inherit the Kirin totem. Either inherited from both parents, or inherited from one of them. If neither is inherited, and the difference is far, there are only 2 possible situations. The first is the totem mutation, which is relatively rare and most of the changes are not big. For example, one of the parents is the ape totem, and the children awaken the monkey totem. This chapter is not over, please click the next page to continue reading. The second situation is that the father wears a hat of a certain color. In fact, the second situation is more common than the first. However, that is King Zilan, who dares to say nonsense. I never expected that someone would dare to say nonsense. In the silence, a discordant voice sounded. This is strange, it doesn't match the parents. How can it be mutated into a black snake? Is there an indescribable story? Hee hee. As soon as these words came out, there was a dead silence. Someone actually insulted Princess Ruohua. Although it was not clear, the meaning was clearly that Zhang Zizai might not be the son of King Zilan. Everyone locked onto the speaker. The man was standing in the camp of the Kailan Palace, the Jinlin Palace. He was a fat middle-aged man with big ears. He was smiling and thought that everyone would laugh. After he finished speaking, he realized that he had gone too far. Zhang Zizai's eyes were like torches. This sentence touched his reverse scale. This man was the brother-in-law of the Jinlin Palace master Zhang Yu, named Wang Fu. He married into the Jinlin Palace, and his son was Zhang Zhengzin. Zhang Zhengzin was also standing next to him at this time. Zhang Zizai knew that some words were really hurtful to his mother, especially this one. He definitely wanted to kill Wang Fu, but he didn't have the strength to allow it now. However, someone did it. A powerful force pushed Zhang Zizai to the side. Suddenly, he saw Ruohua appear in front of Wang Fu with an expressionless face. Boom! At the position of Ruohua's eyebrows, the natal totem was printed. It was a bright red peony flower, which suddenly bloomed, and the sky and the earth changed color for a moment. At this moment, Ruohua seemed to have turned into this flower. She stretched out her palm and pushed suddenly. With a bang, a huge peony flower mark appeared on Wang Fu's chest, which was stained with blood. Wang Fu's eyes widened and fell to the ground. He was dead. In fact, Zhang Zizai rarely saw his mother angry. This was really one of the few times. Killing Wang Fu scared Zhang Zhengzin so much that he trembled and fainted. Ruohua then turned around and said to everyone, word by word, my husband may have committed a crime, and my son may have been imprisoned. But not everyone can insult me. Bully my son. Wang Fu is outspoken and deserves death. Glancing again, she continued, I know that now that my Zilan mansion is in trouble, I will add insult to injury. I don't care if someone speaks nonsense with an obscene heart, but it's better not to let me hear it, otherwise this will be the end. Wang Fushong's words are really serious. It hurts her dignity and the dignity of her children. In fact, Zhang Zizai looks like the same mold as King Zilan. He looks more like his father than Zhang Zhengjian. But who can stop those obscene rumors? Witnessing everything, Zhang Zizai took a deep breath. He felt that he really couldn't let this person, the one he loved most in his life, feel even a little sad. Then let's all start with this black snake totem. In fact, Zhang Zizai knew that this was not a black snake totem at all. It was a black dragon totem. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 6. Wang Fu's death. Even if it was Zhang 11 of Jinlin Mansion, there was nothing to say. What he said could indeed be said to be a serious crime. If it weren't for the incident with Zilan King, Zhang 11 would not be able to escape responsibility for such nonsense in public. However, they obviously couldn't swallow this breath, but there was no reason to get angry. At least the gloomy eyes of Zhang Shang and Zhang 11 when they left made Zhang Zizai know that one day, they would settle the account. The grand sacrifice day ended in displeasure. Zhang Zizai got his natal totem, and Princess Ruohua was particularly happy, and she was too lazy to entangle with them. After announcing the end of the sacrifice day ceremony, she took Zhang Zizai and others back to the Dajiang Palace. The Dajiang Palace was mainly the Purple Unicorn clan, and the population was not prosperous. When Zilan King fell, it really felt like the sun was setting in the west, and the palace was particularly quiet. In the courtyard. After listening to Zhang Zizai's story, Ruohua was a little nervous and asked, "Are you sure it's a black dragon, not a black snake?" There was nothing to hide from her mother about this. As for the vision he saw in the dream and on the origin altar, he himself didn't understand, so he chose not to talk about it for now. It's really strange, how could a dragon appear? This is the totem of the Flame Dragon royal family. But the Flame Dragon royal family has never had a black dragon. Ruohua couldn't figure it out at all. However, in the end, she reminded, now is a time of trouble. Since others think it is a black snake, you should think it is a black snake. Don't worry, mother, the black dragon totem is bound to make people feel strange, and it may cause more trouble. Zhang Zizai is in a much better mood now. He saw new hope in his life. Now, he can't wait to study his own natal totem. Ruohua said, I will look through the totem scriptures first to see if I can gain anything. Your natal totem is different from your father's. I'm afraid that the totem setting method of the Kirin royal family that I prepared for you before can no longer be used. I will look for a suitable gong method. You should first nurture the true chi seed of the Shenting A appointment. Those top-level gong methods were prepared when Zhang Zizai was 9 years old, but they are not useful now. The natal totem is the foundation, but it is also a starting point. After opening the Shenting A appointment, if you want to continue to improve, you still need to practice the gong method. Among them, the gong method for each realm is different. The practice method of the Wuoming realm is 9-point totem setting, so the totem setting method is needed. In fact, there are 409 acupuncture points in the human body. Because each person has a different totem, the acupuncture points opened are generally different, except for the Shenting A appointment. Which acupuncture points are opened is actually guided by the totem. So the 9 acupuncture points opened in the end will vaguely form the outline of the totem in the body. This is the 9-point totem. Because everyone practices the totem method differently, the quality of martial arts chi will also be different. Because of the quality of the natal totem, the power of martial arts chi is also different. Awakening the Xian level natal totem at the beginning, whether it is the quality, power, or speed of cultivation, will be much higher than the yellow level natal totem. The second realm of martial arts is called the Xuanmei realm. The Xuanmei realm has the method of opening the Xuanmei. The third realm of martial arts is called the Saint Body realm. The Saint Body realm has the method of forging the Saint Body. Practice methods, like the natal totem, are also divided into 4 levels of heaven, earth, and yellow because of the difference in quality. But it is said that there are also top-level practice methods that exceed these 4 levels. Of course, the method of fixing the totem is relatively simple. It is said that the highest level is only the heaven-level practice method. Both the natal totem and the practice method are divided into heaven, earth, and yellow. Because Xuanhuan does not have a totem fixing method suitable for the Black Dragon totem, Zhang Zizai cannot really enter the martial life realm for the time being, and can only nurture the true Qi seed for the time being. You started late, and your life totem seems to be relatively fragile, so go to the Spirit Yin Divine Stone to consolidate it first. When I find the totem fixing method, I will give it to you to practice. Xuanhuan is thoughtful and has thought about it for her son. Spirit Yin Divine Stone? I am not qualified to go, right? Zhang Zizai knows that his father has set rules that only young people with extraordinary talents or who have made outstanding contributions to the family can practice in the Spirit Yin Divine Stone. For example, his brother Zhang Junjian has obtained the qualification to practice in the Spirit Yin Divine Stone many times. At this critical moment, regardless of so many rules, Mother just wants you to smoothly enter the martial arts. Xuanhuan looked at her son with a soft look. She is very satisfied today. In the future, she does not ask Zhang Zizai to be so powerful, but at least he can keep his identity. Therefore, he must practice the totem fixing method as soon as possible. That spiritual stone was a treasure that Zhang Yunting had obtained. Since his mother had allowed it, Zhang Zizai would certainly not be polite. As for Lu Dingxing and Ruo Xiaoyu on the side, they could only envy him, because Zhang Zizai was his biological son. The Kylin Club is not far away, and you two can't relax if they don't find the opportunity this time. The Kylin Club will definitely not be polite. It will depend on you and Kinyu at that time, Xuanhuan warned. Because Zhang Zizai got his natal totem, the atmosphere suddenly became much more relaxed, and even Xuanhuan smiled. Okay, let's work hard together. Although the Kylin Club has nothing to do with him. He just set out, and he won't be able to catch up with Lu Dingxing, Zhang Junduo, and others in a few years. But, perhaps it was the heaven-defying black dragon in his dream that filled him with confidence. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. The dragon totem, at least in the Yanlong dynasty, is superior to the Kylin and all other totems. Although it is an unprecedented black dragon totem, it also makes him curious about his own totem. Zhang Zizai couldn't wait and asked Xuanhuan to send him to the soul-enriching divine stone. Half an hour later, Zhang Zizai was already in the soul-enriching divine stone. The soul-enriching divine stone is a huge white jade stone, as big as a house. A hole was dug on its surface, and when you drill into it, there is a space with a diameter of about 10 feet inside. In this space, the energy of heaven and earth is at least 10 times richer than the outside world. This is caused by the soul-enriching divine stone. It is said that the soul-enriching divine stone, buried in the deep soil, has been nourished by the energy veins underground for thousands of years, and has become a kind of spiritual mine. Moreover, the spiritual stone in the Great Zhang Palace is a spiritual ore of a very high grade. There are 12 grades of spiritual ores in the world. Generally, those above grade 5 or 6 are treasures that Zhang Yan and Zhang Shang are eager to obtain. Zhang Zizai did not ask in detail what grade this spiritual stone was. But the cultivation environment that can provide 10 times the vitality of heaven and earth is so useful to practitioners, so the grade must be high. After all, this is also one of the treasures of Zilin Palace. For totem warriors, the vitality of heaven and earth is the foundation for strengthening themselves, and its importance is no less than that of their natal totem. If there is no vitality between heaven and earth, there will be no totem warriors at all, and there may even be no life. Zhang Zizai felt refreshed when he sat cross-legged in this spiritual stone. There was a white mist in front of him, as if he was taking a bath, and every pore was receiving nourishment, which made him almost shout with comfort. It's so refreshing. Today, I got my natal totem, and my mother killed Wangfu, which really made me feel relieved. He was originally a lawless person, but he was too depressed in the past 2 days, forced by reality. However, what happened in the past 2 days also made him feel like he was reborn. In terms of spirit and will, he, Zhang Zizai, is no longer the same. Father, Black Dragon, Petals, Origin Pillar. What secrets are there in these? What is the connection? He couldn't wait to visualize the totem and see what his natal totem looks like with his own eyes. When the natal totem emerges, it is at the center of the eyebrows. But under normal circumstances, it exists in the natal sea. Where is the natal sea? No one knows. Even if you kill a person and dissect him, you can't find the place of the natal sea. When a person dies, the totem will disperse. However, as long as you calm down and escape into the quiet, and use the method of visualizing the totem, your spirit will be able to enter the natal sea over time. Just like a dream, in a space like the ocean, I saw my totem. This method of visualizing totems is the same for everyone, and it is not very complicated. As for when to enter the natal sea, it depends on the degree of fit between the person and the natal totem. Zhang Zizai certainly wanted to see what this mysterious totem really looked like. He calmed down in this spiritual stone and silently recited the method of visualizing totems. Although it was the first time, he himself did not expect that the process would be so easy. This process was like falling asleep, having a dream, and in a trance, he came to avoid space. Here is. Zhang Zizai suddenly found that the surrounding was a broken starry sky, and pieces of ocean and land were lined up in front of him. It was actually the scene seen in the origin pillar. Coming here again, his mood was slightly more stable. At this time, he turned around and saw a pitch-black dragon entrenched at the end of the starry sky. It held a black petal in its mouth and looked at him with a strange smile. Boom! This smile shocked Zhang Zizai again. He didn't expect that he could still see it. In the shock, his mind went blank, and his body struggled in the sea, with a terrible feeling of drowning. The dragon and petals in front of him began to twist and break. Buzz! Suddenly, his head hurt, and inexplicably, there was an extra memory. This memory seemed to be known, but it suddenly came back to him, and it was extremely clear. It was like engraved in his mind, and every word could not be forgotten. Ugh! He felt like waking up from a nightmare, and when he woke up, he was still covered in cold sweat. He opened his eyes and saw a white clearness in front of him. He was still in the soul-enriching divine stone. Where is my natal sea? The broken starry sky made Zhang Zizai unable to calm down for a long time. He really couldn't figure out what the relationship between him and this black dragon would be. If that was the natal sea, then this black dragon, including the black petals, was probably the black dragon totem itself. His totem turned out to be such a terrifying black dragon, how could it be inferior? Is this what my father brought me? He couldn't help but think of the dream that night, in which his father opened the box in front of him. But, shouldn't that be a dream? Is it possible that this black dragon is one of the 8 super totems, the death god dark dragon totem? It is said that this totem appeared in ancient times, but it was not black, but grey. Or, it is possible that I can evolve into the death god dark dragon totem. The legendary totem is indeed creepy, and it is estimated that the current Flame Emperor Holy Dragon totem will be afraid of it. After he thought about it for a while, he finally remembered that there were some more memories in his mind just now. At a glance, it seemed to be a technique. He shifted his attention to this memory, studied it carefully, and suddenly showed ecstasy. It's true that there is no way out. God favors handsome people like me. The depression of the past 6 years was swept away. Because this extra memory turned out to be a method of fixing totems. To be precise, This is a complete set of cultivation techniques, called Yuanqi Holy Dragon Sutra, including the method of fixing the totem, the method of opening the mysterious veins, and the method of forging the holy body. Among them, the method of fixing the totem is complete, called 9 Extreme Dragon Drilling Technique, using the dragon as a drill to drill out 9 totem spiritual orifices. The memory of the other 2 is vague, but it may not be impossible to think clearly in the future. Intuition tells Zhang Zizai that this original Holy Dragon Sutra is likely to be given to him by the Black Dragon Totem. He got this memory when he was visualizing the totem. All this is even more mysterious. Zhang Zizai had a headache thinking about it. No matter how much, whoever mocked me these 2 days, wait for Xuanhuan to take off his pants and hang them up one day. Especially on the origin altar, the pressure on the mother. In the soul-enhancing divine stone, he began to fix the totem at 9 points, his eyes like fire. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 7. Some people believe that the natal totem is just to open the Shenting A appointment and plant the seeds of true energy. After that, you can practice exercises and battle tactics, and it has nothing to do with the totem. In fact, this is the rumor of those who sit in a well and watch the sky. The natal totem, starting from the 9-point fixed totem, dominates the path of cultivation. Immortals' talent, understanding, chi quality, cultivation speed, etc. are all invisibly dominated by the natal totem. And Zhang Zizai began to study the 9-pole dragon drilling technique in the Yuanqi Holy Dragon Sutra and realized this clearly. After a mortal opens the Shenting point and possesses the chi seeds, the first step is not to open other spiritual apertures immediately, but to strengthen the chi seeds in the Shenting point. Using the method of establishing a totem, first transform the true energy seeds into majestic true energy. Only then can you truly differentiate yourself from ordinary people and become a totem martial artist. Zhang Zizai is now using the 9-pole dragon drill technique to transform his true energy. I wonder if this 9-pole dragon drill technique can reach the heaven level. Zhang Zizai had seen other techniques before. Although he was just a layman at that time, from his intuition, the 9-pole dragon drill technique was at least much more complicated. Perhaps it was because of the black dragon totem. Although this technique was complicated, there was no hindrance to his study. The first step is to forge the Zhenqi seed into the 9-pole dragon in the Shenting point. The so-called 9-pole dragon is a kind of quality of qi. First of all, Zhang Zizai, who had done some research on spiritual practice, had never heard of this kind of method. The Shenting point has just been opened and is in a state of chaos. The foundation of any cultivation method is the method of inhalation, and there is also the method of inhalation in the 9-pole dragon drill technique. Inhaling is to swallow the vitality of heaven and earth into the body. What Zhang Zizai is currently using is called the dragon swallowing suction technique. He knew that the ordinary method of inhaling was to inhale the vitality of heaven and earth through the mouth and nose, condense it in the chest, and then disperse it. Unexpectedly, this dragon swallowing and suction technique actually uses the pores all over the body as the sucking technique, even all the pores on the body are not spared, including some indescribable parts of the lower body. Fortunately, no one is watching. Otherwise, the whole body will be inhaled, and the scene will be really embarrassing. Although it was shameful, he realized how terrifying this dragon swallowing technique was when he actually used it. It was like a hungry giant whale, swallowing the sea water. Perhaps this giant beast is just a divine dragon. At this moment, he felt as if he had transformed into the boundless black dragon. The vitality of heaven and earth was already strong within this spiritual stone. Coupled with the dragon swallowing and suction technique, within a short period of time, it felt like the whole body was about to be exploded by the vitality of heaven and earth. Without transformation, no matter how much energy of heaven and earth is swallowed, it will have no effect. Cultivation is actually miserable. However, Only by being strong can you protect what you want to protect and fight for what you want. Otherwise, how can you live with dignity? Suddenly I remembered what my father once said to my brother Zhang Junjian. Zhang Zizai was still young at the time and was listening in. The most basic requirement for a strong person is a person with great perseverance. If you can't endure any hardship, don't even think about becoming an unparalleled hero. Now this dragon swallowing suction technique really made Zhang Zizai understand the pain of cultivation. It was like a physical disaster. The pain was so painful that my whole body was about to explode. However, I thought of my father being accused, of my brother's life and death being uncertain, and of my mother still having to fight with villains in Daejeon King City. He knew that it was a gift from heaven, but if he did not insist on it, he would not be worthy of being a man in this family. In the past 2 days, he has really changed. Now, except for death, nothing can stop his crazy will. In the Yunling Divine Stone, even though there were many bloodshot eyes on his body, he still gritted his teeth. Often in this difficult time, I can think of many things. These things made him understand more deeply that he could not give up. Otherwise, how could it be ridiculed by a few people? That is a lifetime of humiliation that cannot be lifted up. It's the sadness of watching my father be in infamy for eternity, watching my brother's head fall to the ground, and watching my mother being bullied. He had already experienced it and didn't want to do it again. Drill. The vast vitality of heaven and earth allowed him to guide it into the Shenting Ake appointment and gather it with the true energy seeds. Then, under the control of the 9-pole dragon drill technique, spin. Like a cone, it rotates crazily, with the true energy seeds as the foundation, gathering the vitality of heaven and earth, and rotating crazily in the Shenting point. Buzz. At this moment, the Shenting point was really almost bursting. Zhang Zizai understood that this was really a rather ungentle cultivation method. Every step is like a limit. However, it happened that it did not break through this limit and let Shenting point be destroyed. This is the brilliance of this technique. Zhang Zizai forgot everything and devoted himself to it. In the Shenting Ake appointment, with the true energy seeds as the core, a vortex of heaven and earth vitality is created, spinning crazily. The howling wind sounded like the world was collapsing. 1,000 turns is considered a reincarnation. After turning the first cycle, the Genkai seeds gathered a large amount of heaven and earth energy, condensed together, compressed crazily, and finally turned into a mist-like dragon. Next, with each reincarnation, the little dragon grew stronger and let out a thundering roar. Finally, 9 reincarnations took place. All the heaven and earth energy that Zhang Zizai absorbed during this period of time, gathered together with the true energy seeds in these 9 reincarnations. At this moment, he stopped practicing, because the first level of the martial life realm has been successful. From now on, he is truly a totem martial artist. In his Shenting Ake appointment, there is a dragon-shaped true energy formed by the majestic heaven and earth energy, which has rotated countless times. It is majestic, thick, and pure white. It is said that only high-quality true energy can condense together. But I have never heard of forming a dragon. Zhang Zizai was a little happy. Sure enough, everything was different after he started practicing. It seems that the top spiritual orifice has anomalies, so my spiritual orifice Shenting Ake appointment is considered a coiling dragon spiritual orifice. He can feel how powerful the divine dragon true energy in this Shenting Ake appointment is. These true energy nourishes the flesh and blood all the time, allowing his mortal flesh and blood to transform rapidly. Suddenly, the Shenting Ake appointment changed again. This was not controlled by Zhang Zizai. The pure white Shenlong Qi suddenly turned into a pitch-black color, like ink. After turning black, the properties of Qi seemed to have completely changed, from holy and bright to dark, gloomy, and even rough. Zhang Zizai's temperament as a whole also changed in this direction. This reminded Zhang Zizai that the black petals turned the white dragon into a black dragon. However, it felt like this black dragon chi seemed to be more destructive. This was the ironclad evidence that the natal totem determined the quality of chi. The natal totem injected its own imprint into the chi invisibly. If the totem evolved in the future, the quality of chi would also evolve. Therefore, the totem martial artist divided the quality of chi into levels, which were also heaven and earth Xuanhuan corresponding to the natal totem. For example, Lu Dingxing's original chi had the properties of the panda totem, with long-lasting endurance and powerful bursts. When the totem evolved into the giant panda totem, his chi became more violent, and he had a huge advantage in absolute strength compared to ordinary totem warriors. He called himself Giant Chi. The quality level of Giant Chi is Xian level Chi. As for the quality of his current Black Dragon Chi, it depends to a large extent on his Black Dragon Totem, so he is not sure, and may need to try. In fact, Zhang Zizai couldn't wait to try and see what changes he would have after becoming a totem warrior. At this time, he opened his eyes excitedly, and just raised his head. He suddenly saw Princess Ruohua outside the soul-enriching divine stone. She smiled and said, "It seems that the totem fixing method I prepared is no longer useful." She should have been watching here for some time, but Zhang Zizai was too focused and didn't notice her. "Mother." Zhang Zizai was stunned. He really didn't know how to explain it to her. Ruohua seemed to see through his thoughts and said, "After more than 6 years of waiting, you finally got a good ending. I heard that if there is a technique in the natal totem, it is definitely the greatest gift of the ancient gods." Then, she reminded, "Don't leak this out." It turned out that she could guess it. Zhang Zizai had never heard that the natal totem could contain a technique. "Mother, are there many similar people?" "Not many. Even if there are, I'm afraid no one will tell you. In the history of the Yanlong dynasty, as far as I know, there is only one person like you." "Who?" "Your father." Zhang Zizai was stunned again. No wonder his mother was not surprised that he suddenly had the method of fixing the totem. It turned out that Zhang Yunting also got the technique of cultivation in the natal totem. He now has too many questions and wants to ask Zhang Yunting, but unfortunately he is not here. "I am happy for you to have this opportunity, but remember, you started too late. You must not be proud and complacent. You need to understand the gap between yourself and others. Now it is best to continue to practice and have the power to protect yourself as soon as possible," Princess Ruohua said. Zhang Zizai was originally going to go out and find someone to learn from. Okay. Indeed, in the current situation, the first level of the Wuoming realm can't do anything. He is 6 years behind other people of the same age. It is not certain how many years it will take to catch up with these 6 years. So the key is to focus on catching up, instead of wanting to show off after a little achievement. He returned to the soul-enriching divine stone, calmed down, and continued to think about the 9 extreme dragon drilling technique. In fact, it has been 7 days since he trained the true chi seed into the black dragon true chi. 7 days were extremely difficult, he remembered it very clearly. However, this speed is actually quite fast compared to others. This is also due to the great contribution of the spiritual stone, otherwise the process of breathing would take 10 times longer. Now that the first level of the Wuoming realm has been completed, if he wants to fix the totem at 9 points, he needs to let the natal totem find out for Zhang Zizai which of the 409 acupoints is his second spiritual orifice. The black dragon true chi that leads to the Shenting acupointment will naturally be guided to the second spiritual orifice under the invisible influence of the natal totem. The black dragon chi was like a real dragon. After it was drawn out, Zhang Zizai let it wander in his body. At this time, the black dragon chi was very slow, but it must have identified the position. Shenting acupointment is just above the eyebrows. At this time, the black dragon chi went straight down, and the direction it pointed to should be the Shenk acupointment. Shenk acupointment is located in the navel. 9 points determine the totem, and many totems actually include the Shenkei appointment. This made Zhang Zizai a little disappointed. In the future, the 9 points will definitely form a dragon pattern in his body. He thought it would be more special. However, the advantage is that Shenkei appointment is the same as Shenting A appointment. It is a large A appointment with huge capacity and stable structure, which is easy to open and forge into a spiritual orifice. The heaven and earth energy in the soul-enriching divine stone is ultimately limited, and the 9 extremes dragon drilling technique is unstoppable. I can try it out in one go to see if I can open the Shenk point and reach the second level of the Wuming realm. Practice should not be impatient, so he calmed down for a day or two, and with enough psychological preparation, he continued to sprint. Now, it is the real 9 extremes dragon drilling technique, which leads the black dragon True Chi to transform into the 9 extremes dragon, and drills the Shenk point into a spiritual orifice. The method of fixing the totem is different, and the way to open the spiritual orifice is different, but this is the first time that Zhang Zizai has heard of such a simple and crude method with great effect. The 9 extremes dragon has a sharp and slender horn on its head, like a spear. When Zhang Zizai guided the 9 extremes dragon to drill into the Shenk point for the first time, he felt like a hole was pierced in his stomach, and he grimaced in pain. "I don't want to play anymore. It's really killing me. I might as well lie down and sleep. I have a hole in my brain. I don't need to practice. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to lie on the belly of a beautiful woman?" Of course, his family education is strict, so he hasn't lied down yet. He cursed a few times, and then he did it again, leading the 9 extreme dragon to attack the Shenk point again. The leisurely days are long gone, and now is the future of desperate efforts. It's not that it's not painful to sprint again and again, but he can't give up when he thinks of so many things in the family. Now the 2 pillars of men are in danger of life and death, and it's his turn to protect the family. Otherwise, if his father and brother can come back one day, how can he face them? No matter how painful it is, you have to fight. People have to do this to grow up. He cursed and practiced at the same time. He cursed the ancestors of the 4-veined Kylin for 18 generations. Then, he actually wanted to curse the Flame Dragon Emperor. But thinking that if outsiders heard it, he might be beheaded, so he thought about it and gave up. Is this Flame Dragon Emperor so cruel? It is said that he is an illegitimate child. My father made great efforts to seize the throne, but now he has turned his face against me. There are probably many unknown things about the desolate heaven pass. He wants to know. So I understand, and I can't give up. After countless attacks, the 9 extreme dragon finally tore open the Shenkei appointment roughly. Zhang Zizai was a little numb, and woke up at this time. He was overjoyed. With a rush of hot blood, he used the dragon swallowing and suction technique again, and used the vast heaven and earth vitality in the soul-enriching divine stone to prop up the Shenkei appointment. His belly swelled huge for a while. Looking down, Zhang Zizai was shocked. "Am I pregnant? Shenkei appointment, right here." No time to joke. This time the black dragon True Chi separated a strand and drilled into the Shenkei appointment to become the next True Chi seed. The rest returned to the Shenting A appointment. Then, after another 10 reincarnations, the world turned upside down, and the black dragon was born. Finally, he broke through to the second level of the Wuming realm and possessed 2 black dragon True Chi. Although Zhang Zizai was panting and mentally like he had a serious illness, his flesh and blood body was extremely vigorous. After standing up, his whole body was nurtured by the black dragon True Chi, crackling. The powerful force filled his whole body, as if he could kill a tiger alive. Now, he can finally go out and let his 2 brothers Lu Dingxing and Suqinyu see his changes. Zhang Zizai was really looking forward to their incredible expressions. These 2 little bitches used to show off in front of me when I didn't have a totem. Today I must make their jaws drop to the ground. After all, he is still a very active character. He has been in seclusion for a month, so of course he can't help it. Hold a red envelope event. On 17K Novel Network, the total number of book reviews reaches 2,000. 10 people will be randomly selected, and each person will receive a 100 yuan red envelope. When the total number reaches 3,000, 5 more people will be randomly selected, and each person will receive a 100 yuan red envelope. And so on, a 500 yuan red envelope will be given for every 1,000 reviews, and the maximum number of reviews is 10,000. The winner will be set up as a highlight review, and then post the Alipay number or WeChat number in the floor under his own review. Crazy people give red envelopes. It is set up as a highlight review and can be seen in message. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 8. After coming out of seclusion at the Yunling Divine Stone, Zhang Zizai still had to report to his mother first. When he found Princess Ruohua, she was in the study, flipping through a thick ancient book. As soon as Zhang Zizai knocked on the door and came in, he saw a smile blooming on her face. Her natal totem is a flower, and when she smiles, her whole body is like a flower in full bloom, making people feel like a spring breeze. Xiaobao, I found your natal totem. Come and take a look. Xiaobao, this is how Zhang Zizai was called by King Zilan and his wife when he was a child. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Ruohua would still shout out every time he didn't care. Zhang Zizai is not embarrassed, but what is embarrassing is that his eldest brother, Dabao, makes Zhang Zizai laugh for a long time every time he calls out his nickname. However, as soon as he heard that it was related to his natal totem, he forgot about the name Xiaobao. Zhang Zizai stepped forward quickly. What Ruohua was reading was the Totem Sacred Book. However, judging from the dilapidation of the book, it must be an ancient version that is no longer in circulation. I didn't expect that this version that was eliminated hundreds of years ago could be found. Ruohua was a little surprised. On that page, there are 4 characters Black Dragon Totem written, and below there are totem patterns and various detailed descriptions. Zhang Zizai took a look and saw that the totem pattern was a black dragon coiled in a circle. It was as black as ink and contained some domineering power. This black dragon is indeed amazingly powerful, but it is much inferior to what Zhang Zizai saw in the original sea. Also, there are no black petals. When you visualize the natal sea, do you see a black dragon like this? Ruohua asked. There is no difference in appearance, but in temperament, he seems to be more domineering. Ruohua smiled and said, that's natural. This is a painted pattern. It is a real totem. The momentum must be different. You can visualize again and see the details carefully. Visualization. In fact, once a totem martial artist becomes familiar with it, he can visualize the totem anytime and anywhere. It's just that the first time Zhang Zizai meditated, the scene was too big, so he wasn't used to it. He sat down cross-legged, feeling a little stressed at the thought of seeing the terrifying black dragon again. Then, will it be just an ordinary black dragon? He used visualization to fall into a deep sleep. This time he felt peaceful. After entering a sleep-like state, he appeared in his natal sea. This time, it was even stranger. Because, the broken starry sky and world last time disappeared unexpectedly. In front of us is just a place filled with grey fog, like a small sea. Then in the grey fog, a young black dragon's shadow was coiled there. Looking at its details, it was exactly the same as what was recorded in the Totem Sacred Book. There is no longer that weird smile or that terrifying aura. The only thing that is the same is that the little black dragon still holds a black petal in its mouth. How could this happen? Although this is actually a normal natal sea, he must be a little disappointed in his heart. After all, how terrifying was the previous natal sea? Maybe this is a kind of hiding. He knew that as long as the previous scene existed, it would never disappear. But now that I have become a little black dragon, maybe it will be better for me now. At least appear normal. He withdrew from the natal sea and looked at the patterns on the totem holy book again, and found that they were basically the same except for the black petals. Then it must be this black dragon totem. This is a Xian level totem, the same as the flaming dragon totem that is the basis of the Yanlong royal family. Although the level is not too high, the future evolution space is still quite huge. Zhang Zizai knew this. The Yanlong royal family was very talented. Their basic awakening of the Yanlong totem was considered to be relatively average. But in the future, they will be able to evolve from the source of evolution, such as evolving to the Earth-level natal totem 5-clawed flame dragon totem. If it can evolve to the end, it will be the Fire Emperor Holy Dragon Totem, one of the 8 super totems in the world. Does this black dragon totem have a lot of room for evolution? He asked. Ruohua said, it's basically similar to the flame dragon totem. There are many evolutionary sources that can be used. As long as they have the dark attribute, there are many that can be used. She scrolled down a bit, pointed to a stone pattern that looked like a head, and said, for example, if you get this first level evolution source double head, you can evolve into a 2-headed black dragon totem, achieve prefecture level. The double-headed black dragon totem is very effective. In terms of practice and combat, you can do 2 things at once. In terms of chi quality, you can forge double black dragon chi. The chi can burst out in 2 consecutive waves and attack with 1 attack, causing 2 injuries. The source of evolution is a special existence. They are born from heaven and earth, are extremely precious, and come in various types. You need to get a suitable evolution source for your totem to evolve. Most of the evolution sources are useless to you, and using them will be a waste. Once they work, the totem will evolve and upgrade instantly, with huge improvements in all aspects. Different evolutionary sources may lead to different evolutionary directions. There are levels of evolutionary sources. The more advanced the evolutionary sources, the rarer they are. From the 1st level evolutionary source to the 5th level evolutionary source. The higher the level, the better the evolution effect. For example, the evolutionary source that Lu Dingxing obtained was also a 1st level evolutionary source. It was a cloud of mist, which was very strange. It could also escape automatically and had a powerful impact. It was called Julie. It can be said that the source of evolution is the most mysterious thing in this world. It exists in various forms. Since ancient times, no one has been able to understand its essence. We can only think that this is also a gift from the ancient gods. If your black dragon totem can evolve to the end, it should be able to become the death dragon totem, which is comparable to the flame emperor holy dragon totem. Ruohua turned to the end of the black dragon totem. Zhang Zizai nodded. So, will the black dragon that destroyed the world before be the death dragon? The highest level totems he knew were the 8 super totems. He didn't expect that once he awakened, he would be able to become a totem like his father. That was impossible. However, he saw a broad future and the direction of totem evolution. However, as for whether his current black dragon chi is Xian level chi, that has yet to be verified. After talking about the black dragon totem, Zhang Zizai realized that he had forgotten the main thing. He opened his arms, looked at Ruohua with a smile, and said, "Mom, you didn't see it? I have reached the 2nd level of the martial life realm. So fast." Ruohua was really surprised. Immediately, she suddenly realized and said, "The same was true for your father at the beginning. In fact, his starting point was also a Xian level totem, but because he obtained the cultivation techniques in the totem, he progressed quite quickly." Her eyes suddenly turned red. "Xiaobao, you can protect yourself from now on." Mother is really relieved. Mother's love is all in this trembling sentence. It shows that although she didn't say it before, she was really worried about his future. The son of King Zilan has to be a mortal insect that people despise for the rest of his life. From now on, you should continue to practice diligently and don't be impatient. The affairs of your father and brother are not something you can control now. Don't mess around. After complimenting, she still had to give a warning. New. Zhang Zizai understood that he was indeed making rapid progress, but some things were beyond his imagination, and even Ruohua found it extremely difficult to deal with them. Mom, I'm going to find the panda and the monkey. After reporting here, he couldn't wait to verify his strength. Don't. Suddenly, Ruohua's expression changed and became gloomy. There was a sense of powerlessness and paleness in his eyes. Zhang Ziyi was startled and said, "What's wrong?" Something happened to the two of them. That was Zhang Zizai's sworn brother since childhood. They are fine, please calm down. I originally wanted to hide it from you so that you can practice with peace of mind, but in fact, you will always know about this matter. Ruohua pursed her lips, and Zhang Zizai realized that she had always had something on her mind, but she was too happy just now to notice it. Mom, just say it, I'll listen. Zhang Zizai knew that the other four-line Kailan tribe must be in trouble again. They won't pass up this great opportunity. Ruohua nodded, his eyes full of helplessness and sadness. Seeing her like this, Zhang Ziyi felt a fire in his stomach. A few days ago, another 5 Meridians conference was held, and all the powerful people from the Kailan royal family arrived. They discussed together and made some arrangements for the Kailan conference that will take place in a few days. The Kailan meeting, held annually, is an important event for the Kailan royal family to assess young people. Anyone under the age of 15 is required to participate. For the talented descendants of the Kailan royal family, the first grand event in their lives that can make them famous is this Kailan meeting. At that time, the 5-line unicorns will compete fairly with each other. The main thing he strives for is the opportunity to study at various universities in Yanlong ruins. There, you can learn from all the young geniuses in the Yanlong dynasty and grow together. There are also the world's educational elites gathered there. There is even an opportunity to work for the Yanlong royal family and embark on an official career. It can be said to be a place where all heroes gather. For example, Zhang Ziyi's 17-year-old sister, Zhang Yanning, studied in the 3rd-ranked National Protectorate and was an outstanding student among them. The top 10 schools in Yanlong ruins basically all have a very long history, and may even have a longer history than the Yanlong dynasty. Their skills and tactics cannot be bought outside. The school is a sacred place. It only teaches, not governs. It is a strong character and a profound teacher. It is a place that the world's talents aspire to. It is said that even the Yanlong Emperor respects the leaders of various universities. Of course, major universities are also supplying a steady stream of top talents to the Yanlong dynasty, and they will ultimately serve the Yanlong Emperor. Among the schools, the 2nd-ranked Holy Dragon Palace was opened directly by the Yanlong royal family. However, what the world's elites yearn for the most is the number 1 sacrifice temple. Legend has it that the history of the Temple of Sacrifice is more than twice as long as that of the Yanlong dynasty. Even in ancient times, it has been passed down to this day. Strictly speaking, the temple of worship is not a school, but a temple for worshipping the ancient gods. The most important purpose of the sacrificial temple is to worship the ancient gods of the heavens, lead all living beings in the world, and worship the ancient gods. It is said that there are hundreds of statues of the ancient gods. Dragon God, Kailan God, Pen God, Sword God. At the same time, there is also the Yanlong dynasty's largest origin pillar. That is, it is said to be the birthplace of totem warriors. Worshipping the temple, not participating in the wars in the world, only worshipping the ancient gods, devoutly yearning for the sky, and practicing hard. Its recruitment of students and leadership in practice has also happened in the past few thousand years. This chapter is not over, Please click on the next page to continue reading. Zhang Yunting once practiced in the Temple of Sacrifice, and Zhang Junjian also practiced in the Temple of Sacrifice for 3 years. The students who come out of the Sacrifice Temple are exceptionally outstanding in strength and character, so the most desirable school for the world's elites is actually the Sacrifice Temple. As for the Kylin royal family's Kylin Club, it is said that those who rank in the top 3 will have the opportunity to enter the Sacrifice Temple. Of course, when Zhang Ziyi was 9 years old, he fantasized about offering sacrifices to the temple, but now that he was 15, he had given up long ago. However, he had already planned to send Lu Dingxing and Suqianyu to the sacrificial temple. In the future, he will also send his sister Ruo Xiaoyu to the sacrificial temple. This year is also the most important opportunity for Lu Dingxing and Suqianyu. Suqianyu's retreat this time was also to sprint towards the sacrifice temple. So Zhang Zizai wanted to know, what arrangements did the 4 lineage unicorns make for this unicorn meeting? He waited for Ruohua to say. Princess Ruohua, with slightly bloodshot eyes showing annoyance, said, "They are taking advantage of the large number of people to put pressure on my Zilan mansion. They want to deprive us of 2 things. What 2? Zhang Zizai clenched the teacup in his hand. Ruohua looked at Zhang Zizai with bright eyes, shook his head helplessly, and said, "First of all, I am afraid that the Yunling Divine Stone cannot be saved. They said that no one in our Zilan mansion is qualified to be worthy of the Yunling Divine Stone. But, this is your father's personal belongings." Zhang Zizai had just enjoyed the benefits of the Yunling Divine Stone, and they wanted to take it away. If you take it away, how will you practice? Moreover, this is not something from the Kylin royal family, this is Zhang Yunting's own. What else? He almost crushed the teacup in his hand. Ruohua gritted his teeth and said with hatred, "In the 5 Meridians Conference, according to the convention, our Zilan mansion has 2 votes of power, and each of their 4 meridians has 1 vote. Now, they want to deprive us of 1 vote, and among the 4 unicorns, only Huanglin's Zhang Yuan is on our side. In the future, as long as the 5 Meridians Conference is held, they will have 3 votes and we will have 2 votes, and then everything will be decided by them. Zhang Yuan used to follow Zhang Yunting, so he has a conscience. However, if the rules of the 5 Meridians Conference are changed, Zilan Mansion will indeed have no say in the future. When the time comes, won't it be easy for them to support the new king of the Kylin royal family? Did you agree?" Zhang Zizai could imagine how many people put pressure on her at the 5 Meridians Conference. The teacup in his hand was completely shattered. Ruohua shook his head and said, "We have reached a stalemate, but their new proposal has been approved by many elders. In fact, the elders of the clan combined, as well as the clan heads of the major tribes, have a lot of say. Will it be related to Kylin?" Ruohua sighed and said helplessly, "Yes, the new proposal is that if in the Kylin Association, the performance of their 3-line Kylin descendants exceeds that of our Zilan Mansion and Huanglin Mansion combined, then the Yunling Divine Stone will belong to them. We also have to lose 1 vote. 1 vote of power can completely unbalance the 5 Meridians Conference. From now on, Zilan Mansion will have no chance to see the light of day again, and I am afraid it will completely decline." But Zhang Zizai was not worried yet. He comforted his mother and said, "Mom, don't worry, Lu Dingxing and Suqianyu are both my brothers, and they will fight for the Zilan Mansion. Winning those 3 veins is not a problem at all." He trained these 2 people vigorously, especially Suqianyu. Zhang Zizai gave him almost all the training resources. Therefore, he has great confidence in them, and he has already recruited them into Zilan Mansion. However, Ruohua suddenly looked at Zhang Zizai with some distress, hesitated for a few times, and then said, "I'll tell you, don't be impulsive." "You say?" Zhang Zizai had a bad premonition. He remembered that she had not allowed him to come to Lu Dingxing and the others just now. Xuanhuan recognized Zhang Entropy from Huilin Mansion as his adoptive father and changed his name to Zhang Qinyu. Moreover, he has broken through and reached the 6th level of the martial life realm. At that moment, Zhang Zizai felt as if a sword had been stabbed through his heart. The brother he treated sincerely with all his heart betrayed him when his family was in decline and he needed help the most. Also, join the opponent's camp. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 9. The day before yesterday, the head of Huilin Mansion, Zhang Entropy, held a grand meeting in the mansion and solemnly announced that he had adopted Xuanhuan as his adopted son. From now on, treat him like his own son. Xuanhuan's reputation in Dajiangqing City is much louder than that of Lu Dingxing. His humble background, extraordinary talent, and hard-working spirit make people sincerely admire him. It is said that Xuanhuan was very happy. After 3 kowtows and 9 bows, he immediately announced that he would change his surname. The details sounded so harsh to Zhang Zizai. You are so kind. You don't care about making friends. Not everyone will repay kindness with kindness, Ruohua sighed. Originally, in Zhang Zizai's plan, Kailan would have these 2 brothers, so bringing glory to the Zilin mansion would not be a problem. Now, Xuanhuan not only broke through, but also switched sides with his competitors. Their Zilin mansion was suddenly in dire straits. The news was incomprehensible and unbelievable to him. Even after returning from his mother's place, Zhang Zizai was still in a state of despair. From the age of 6 to now, I have given him half of everything. Why would he make such a decision? He thought it was impossible. If Zhang Entropy and the others were forcing him, it would be difficult for him to resist given his status. At this time, Lu Dingxing arrived in a hurry. Boss, have you heard about the monkey? Lu Dingxing asked. I heard it, but I don't believe it. Even if everyone says that he is voluntary, I don't believe it. He has been in the Huilin mansion these days. Someone saw him in the martial arts field just now. Let's find him to find out. Lu Dingxing's eyes were red. He was running from a distance, panting. Whether it's true or not, you'll know just by asking. If he has difficulties, Zhang Zizai can certainly help. However, even Ruohua felt that he was voluntary. Would Xuanhuan really not let them down? Zhang Zizai felt a little nervous. The 2 of them came to the martial arts arena with complicated emotions. From a distance, Xuanhuan and several others were seen practicing in the martial arts field. He seemed to be instructing others. Their laughter could be heard from far away. When Zhang Zizai heard Xuanhuan's laughter, his heart sank. Perhaps the thing he least wanted to believe turned out to be the truth. Perhaps hearing the footsteps, Xuanhuan, who was wearing a snow-white sword robe, raised his head and looked at Zhang Zizai. He took a step back, his eyes flickered, and the smile on his lips gradually faded and became cold. Several other people who were laughing also stopped the trial at this time and stood next to Xuanhuan. Among them was a beautiful girl, wearing a dark green short skirt, with bright eyes and white teeth, jade skin like snow, youthful beauty, slim figure, and long, slender and round legs that were particularly attractive under the halo. Although she is not old, she is still a beauty. She is Zhang Lingqing, the daughter of the head of the Molin mansion. She is younger than Zhang Zizai. She is only 14 years old. She obtained the Yumo Kailan totem at the age of 9. She has been practicing to the 4th level of the martial life realm. She actually took Xuanhuan's arm, raised her chin slightly, and looked at Zhang Zizai and Lu Dingxing proudly and sweetly. In addition to Zhang Lingqing, there is also Zhang Junduo from Jinlin Mansion, and the 9-year-old Zhang Zhengzhen. Before Zhang Zizai arrived, it was Xuanhuan who was guiding Zhang Zhengzhen in his cultivation. Everyone looked at each other and remained silent for a long time. With this scene, Zhang Zizai had a clearer idea of what was going on. Lu Dingxing, I'm sorry, Ling Qing and I are in love. In addition, Ling Qing's mother said that your father doesn't have much time left, so she broke up your previous engagement. Unexpectedly, when Xuanhuan opened his mouth, this was the first thing he said. Yes, there is indeed an engagement between Lu Dingxing and Zhang Lingqing. However, Lu Dingxing didn't like her, so he was thinking about how to postpone the marriage these days. He never expected that it would be Xuanhuan. Lu Dingxing was stunned, he couldn't believe it, his voice was trembling, and he said, "Hoer, are you kidding? I don't like her, and you don't know it? If you had said that you liked her, I would have taken the initiative to find Emolin Mansion to help you. Say good things. Besides, you said my father doesn't have much time left." This sentence came from the mouth of his sworn brother. It was so ironic. With just these words, Zhang Zizai knew the result. No matter how unbelievable it is, you have to admit it. He stared at Xuanhuan with blazing eyes and asked, "Why? Give me a reason." He asked himself, sincerely doing his best for this brother. Why, he wants to stab himself at this time. Xuanhuan didn't say anything. Zhang Junduo sneered first and said, "Those who know the current affairs are heroes. Your Zilan mansion is in great danger and we are not related to you. Why should I continue to follow you, a loser? A genius like Qinyu should have there is a better creation. Shut up. Get out of our way while we talk." Lu Dingxing was shaking with anger. Zhang Junduo laughed playfully and was about to respond when Xuanhuan stopped him and said, "Brother Junduo, it's up to me and these two to settle the matter." His eyes were like swords, and he took a step forward. He might have reached the 6th level of martial life realm. He had made great progress, and his aura suddenly became sharper. A pair of eyes, as sharp as a sword, pierced Zhang Zizai. His voice was sharp and he said, "Your father has been in disgrace for thousands of years. Your brother will be killed on another day. The pillars of your Zilan mansion have fallen. But you yourself are a waste and have no power to tie a chicken. If I follow you again, no future." In Zhang Zizai's chest, a fire was burning, as if a volcano was buried and about to explode. "So what can Zhang An give you?" Xuanhuan smiled and said, "There are many things, such as the surname Zhang. For example, a truly noble status. These, your father would never give me. He never looked at me straight in the eye. If he was willing to accept me as his adopted son and give me status, how could Zilan Mansion be in danger like today? A surname, a false name, is so important to you." Zhang Zizai admitted that his father did not pay much attention to Xuanhuan. But why did his father pay attention to his own friend? In the final analysis, he misjudged him. Xuanhuan laughed and said, "You are the son of King Zilan, of course you don't know how important these are. If you don't believe me, go out and listen. Whoever mentions me, isn't talking about the beggar of humble origin. To be honest, I have followed you for so many years, and you really think I am grateful to you? In fact, I hate you. Why can a waste be so high and worry-free? And I give everything, far more than you, but I can only be ordered by you. Fate is so unfair. Why can you have food and clothing since you were young, while I have to work hard, otherwise I will starve to death?" He looked at Zhang Zizai with a smile on his face and continued, "Since I came to this Zilan mansion at the age of 6, I began to hate you for being spoiled, hate you for giving me charity, hate you for taking the things you discarded to win me over. If I hadn't shown enough talent, you would have thrown it into the sky long ago, right? Sure enough, people are different." Zhang Zizai gave him all the cultivation resources that he couldn't use. To him, it was actually a win-over. "I heard that you got your natal totem, but it's a black snake that doesn't qualify." Xuanhuan shook his head helplessly. Fate is actually fair. No matter how high your birth is, you will end up being a waste for your whole life. But no matter how low my birth is, I can rise straight up. From today on, I will sever all ties with you. From now on, you can only look up to me and achieve brilliant achievements. He embraced Zhang Lingqing next to him, held her in his arms, lowered his head, but raised his eyes, looked at Zhang Zizai with a smile, and said, "When the time comes, if you die, I will take your children back to my mansion, see our children every day, and be loved, while he will be alone, helpless and helpless." Then, he looked at Lu Dingxing and smiled, "As for you, a beast with feces in your head, you'd better die early and be reborn early." It turned out that he had always despised Zhang Zizai and Lu Dingxing. For so many years, in his eyes, he has always been a waste and a fool. After enduring for so many years, he finally vented and couldn't help laughing. Zhang Junduo and others also laughed together. This laughter made it even more ironic that Zhang Zizai had been so open-hearted to him for so many years. Lu Dingxing was so angry that he was confused. He was really dumb and didn't know how to refute. He wanted to fight, but Zhang Zizai held him back. Zhang Zizai thought a lot. He knew that maybe he had been careless and didn't take his feelings into consideration for so many years. But this was not the reason for Xuanhuan to retaliate like this. He raised his head and looked at Xuanhuan. "Back then, I saved your life, and later, I treated you as a brother and gave you everything I had. It was all because of my kindness. My father taught me that in this life, friendship is greater than the world. But if you think that my kindness to you is a burden and the source of your jealousy of me, then I am really wrong and I am sorry. It's just..." He gritted his teeth, his eyes were like torches, and he confronted his sharp eyes like a sword. "Since you have made your choice, we will go our separate ways from now on. If we meet on the battlefield in the future, since we are no longer brothers, we don't need to be polite to each other. If we have to decide life and death, I will send you to hell with my own hands." Zhang Zizai did not show much anger, at least not as angry as Lu Dingxing with bloodshot eyes. But he said the 3 words "go to hell" one by one, and every word took great courage. Xuanhuan took a deep breath, still smiling, nodded lightly, and said nothing more. Zhang Junduo laughed and said, "It's really a fool's dream. When Qinyu enters the sacrifice temple, you, the early retirement trash, will not even be qualified to see him." Unexpectedly, even the qualification for the sacrifice temple has been reserved. Indeed, after his breakthrough, Kailan will be invincible. Zhang Lingqing also covered her mouth and giggled. "Besides, I will avenge my father sooner or later." Even Zhang Zhengzhen, a young boy, is trying to bully others. He stared at Zhang Zizai and said with a smile, "May I ask, son of a sinner, did your true energy seed go out after awakening the totem? I will be able to enter the 2nd level of the Wuming realm in a while. I am 6 years younger than you. Do you feel inferior?" At such a young age, he can say anything. Pa! He was too close to Zhang Zizai, and Zhang Zizai suddenly waved his hand and slapped him in the face. The strength of his inner anger was unpredictable, and even a lot of black dragon true energy burst out. Zhang Zhengzhen screamed and rolled to the ground, half of his face was red and swollen, he had fainted, and it was estimated that his head was broken. Until then, Zhang Junduo and the others stopped laughing and quickly picked up Zhang Zhengzhen. "Zhang Zizai, you're done," Zhang Junduo was furious. "Watch out, this is the great Zhongqing city. Even if I kill him, who can do anything to me?" Zhang Zizai smiled coldly. Zhang Junduo gritted his teeth, but what Zhang Zizai said was right. His status and position were still there. Once the Kailan conference is over, the 5 Veins conference will be under our control, and we can keep you in prison for life at any time. Zhang Junduo picked up Zhang Zhengzhen, and they had to go back quickly. In fact, they were still a little puzzled. Zhang Zhengzhen had just stabilized the golden main Kylin totem and reached the first level of the Wuming realm. How could he be directly hit, and it was a slap? They could only think that this was a sneak attack by Zhang Zizhe. Xuanhuan also followed him. Before leaving, he looked back at Zhang Zizhe. Suddenly, a fierce light flashed in his eyes. Zhang Zizhe, my sister's debt will be repaid from you one day. After saying that, they walked away. Xuanhuan had a sister named Xuanhuan, who was brought back by Zhang Zizhe at that time. However, at this time last year, Xuanhuan died of illness. At that time, Zhang Zizhe begged everyone and tried all methods, but it was useless. She was already terminally ill. That girl also said that she would marry him in the future. Because they both didn't have their own natal totems. After her death, Zhang Zizhe locked himself in the room for several days. But why, even this matter should be counted on his head. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 10. After Xuanhuan and the others left, Zhang Zizhe and Lu Dingxing stayed in the martial arts arena for a long time. People passing by, probably having heard about the major events of the past few days, cast strange glances at them. A few faint laughs could be heard, and someone said, "This guy Lu Dingxing can't even keep his own woman, and let her run away with his sworn brother, haha." No matter how much Lu Dingxing hated Zhang Lingqing, after all, he had a previous engagement, so the rumors could not be stopped at all. This image of his will probably be the talk of the town for 10 years. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. In the past, the Molan Mansion took the initiative to arrange a marriage with the loyal General Lu Yuan in order to improve the relationship with the Zilan Mansion. Now that Lu Yuan is in prison and facing a life-or-death situation, the Molan Mansion simply ignores the matter. However, this engagement has been spread throughout Daejiang City for a long time, so how can we pretend that it never existed? Boss, I don't care about the engagement at all. After all, these rumors are nothing compared to my father and the future of Zilan Mansion. I'm just angry. Why can you be so good to him? To repay kindness with hatred, you can still give such a high-sounding reason, as if it is natural for him to be jealous of you and hate you. Lu Dingxing was restless and gritted his teeth. Of course he understood that before the Kylin Association, Xuanhuan, who had achieved the 6th level of the martial life realm, joined the Huilan Mansion, which would deal another devastating blow to the Zilan Mansion. Zhang Zizhe pursed his lips, looked into the distance, and said, "Everyone has his own ambitions, no need to say more. Just be responsible for your own choices in the future. Go back." I can't swallow this breath. Lu Dingxing clenched his fists tightly, his eyes were still bloodshot, making his dark circles less conspicuous. You have to swallow it if you can't. You can't bring back a person whose heart has changed. Maybe you will meet at the Kylin meeting, and then I hope you will have no regrets. Starting from the day before the God Festival, Zhang Zizhe's mentality also changed. Today is different from the past. Then I must seize the time. If I can reach the 6th level, I may not have no chance. Don't be impatient, stay calm, Zhang Zizhe said. Don't worry, boss, I know what's going on. Practicing impatience is actually not beneficial. No matter how dire the situation is, the mind must remain calm. The two returned to the mansion, and Lu Dingxing went to practice. Princess Ruohua was waiting for Zhang Zizhe in the study. Going to find him, Ruohua's eyes showed distress. Zhang Zizhe smiled and said, "Don't worry, mother. Dad once told me that there are always some experiences that can make you grow. As long as you can keep your heart, everything will be a good thing." Ruohua was still worried that he would become depressed or act impulsively. When he said this, she felt relieved. I don't know if this disaster is a blessing or a curse, at least Xiaobao has grown up. Ruohua is a sentimental person, and sometimes he can't hold it back and tears burst into his eyes. Her domineering killing power at the altar of origin is like two different people. But Zhang Zizai knew that this was the woman who had been pampered by her father all her life. She was not that strong, but now she had to stand up and protect the family. He really wanted to make her carefree and watch the moon and flowers. That was her hobby. The back hill of Prince Dajiang's mansion is planted with a sea of flowers that stretches for hundreds of miles. It is like a dream. It is Ruohua's masterpiece and the place that haunts her. Now she probably hasn't taken care of it for a long time. By the way, I have prepared some battle tactics for you these days. Ruohua turned around and took out 3 classics on the desk. The pages of the classics were all made of thin gold, and the words were engraved on them so that they could be preserved forever. The 2 things a totem martial artist needs most. The first is the practice, such as the method of fixing the totem and the method of opening the mysterious veins. In addition, there are many special techniques. For example, after practicing, it can have the same influence as the totem. The attributes of Zhenqi, such as a certain special skill, can open another spiritual orifice in the body after practice. The magical skills are actually endless. But the exercises are basically used to improve. Second, that is the tactic as the name suggests, they are all methods of fighting. It is the various sophisticated uses of qi and the physical body, thereby bursting out with stronger combat effectiveness. Whether it's a kung fu or a battle technique, they are all totem martial arts masters of history. They have figured them out based on their own cultivation experience and passed them on. All such beings have immeasurable merit. The kung fu is the same as the natal totem and the quality of qi, divided into heaven and earth Xuanhuan. But the war techniques are different. The war techniques also have levels, which are simply called the universe, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Among them, the legendary Gen level battle tactics are the strongest, while the Chen level battle tactics are the lowest. Each of these 6 levels is divided into 3 levels, upper, middle and lower. Low-grade Chen level battle tactics are the most basic battle tactics. The top-grade dry level battle tactics are the top super battle tactics. It is said that they were left behind by the ancient gods and cannot be created by mortals. Moreover, they also exist in legends. The elixirs and minerals are divided into 12 categories. Totems, kung fu, and true energy are all black and yellow colors of heaven and earth. The battle strategy is the universe, the sun, the moon, and the stars. Ruohua was thoughtful and knew that Zhang Zizai had reached the 2nd level of the martial life realm and could practice the war tactics. She said, "The situation of your totem is special. The battle tactics your father and eldest brother practiced before are probably not that suitable. So I found these 3 types, which should be suitable for you." He took out the top one. The cover was purple, with thunder engraved on it, and a purple Kylan totem painted in the center, indicating that this was the battle tactics of Zilan Mansion. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. This is the Thunder Finger, a low-grade Chen level battle tactic, from our Zilan Mansion. The first battle tactic your eldest brother practiced was this Thunder Finger, which requires a high level of willpower and control, and is more suitable for you now. This is also your father's arrangement for you before. He said that if you can awaken the totem, the first battle tactic must be the Thunder Finger. Zhang Zizai nodded, put it away like a treasure, and said, "I know, it's to temper your will with pain." This Thunder Finger, Zhang Zizai saw that his eldest brother had practiced it, and the 10 fingers were connected to the heart, which was really heartbreaking. However, after practicing it, the power is quite powerful. Then Ruohua took out the 2nd book, which was obviously not the battle tactics of Zilan Mansion, because the cover was red, and there was a fire dragon totem pattern in the center. This is the battle tactics of the Flame Dragon royal family. The Flame Dragon Emperor gave it to your father. No one was suitable for it. But it came in handy today. This battle tactic is a body technique called Dragon Step. It is the basic body technique of the Flame Dragon royal family. Although it is a middle-grade Chen level battle tactic, the body technique is simpler than the attack method. I guess you will be able to practice it after some time. It turned out to be the battle tactics of the Flame Dragon royal family. Zhang Zizai felt a little repulsive when he saw the Flame Dragon totem in the center. Of course, in order to become stronger, practicing their battle tactics is nothing. He is now awakening the Divine Dragon Totem. In this world, the battle tactics and skills of the Flame Dragon royal family are actually the most suitable for him. He has both the attack method and the body technique. Ruohua also has the third book in his hand, which is the thickest and heaviest. This is the middle grade Chen level battle art of the Flame Dragon royal family. It is quite powerful and is called the Flame Dragon Heavy Fist. It is a killing fist forged by the ancestors of the Flame Dragon royal family on the battlefield. It may be a little complicated for you. It will be more appropriate to practice it after you have opened more than 4 spiritual orifices. I didn't expect that our house actually has this battle art. Zhang Zizai was a little surprised, because the reputation of the Flame Dragon Heavy Fist was quite loud in the entire Great Zhongqing city. When we had a good relationship, of course we gave each other everything. Ruohua flashed a sneer at the corner of her mouth. Zhang Zizai noticed it. He put away the Flame Dragon Heavy Fist and asked, "Mother, my father's affairs?" Ruohua hurriedly shook her head and said, "That is not the scope of our management. Your task is to practice with peace of mind, understand?" Zhang Zizai knew that even if his mother knew something, she would not tell him, because he could not help. And she still needs to run around for her husband and her eldest son, continue to think of ways, and then support Zilan Mansion and this family. Okay. Holding these battle tactics in his hand, he came to the spiritual stone again. If this spiritual stone is not used well, there may be no chance to encounter it again after the Kailan meeting. Zhang Zizai's goal is the lower grade Chen level battle tactic Thunder Finger and the middle grade Chen level battle tactic Body Movement Dragon Step. He first prepares to practice the Thunder Finger, which is a battle tactic created by King Zilan himself. The tempering of will is more important than the power of the battle tactic itself. The front line of the battle is the fingers. Fingers are like thunder, and then the palms, fists, and claws are like thunder. Thunder Finger, gather the true energy, forge 10 fingers, and use the Thunder Stone to assist, and practice it 1,000 times. After practicing, the fingers can penetrate the stone. Thunder Stone is a first-grade spiritual ore, which is relatively common. It is in Zhang Zizai's small treasury. On ordinary days, when lightning strikes rocks in the sky, thunder stones are easily produced. The Thunder Stone contains a lot of lightning power. Mortals who touch it can be electrocuted to death. The Thunder Finger forged with Thunder Stone points out that the thunder appears and the explosive power can penetrate the stone, let alone the flesh and blood body. This Thunder Finger is a way to kill people. Fingers are comparable to sharp swords. Zhang Zizai prepared Thunder Stones, one on the ground and one in his hand. Before starting to practice, put 5 fingers on the Thunder Stone and be burned by thunder. Then, he started smashing with another Thunder Stone. For the first time, Zhang Zizai understood what it felt like when Zhang Junjian said, "I feel so painful that I want to go back to my mother's womb." His 5 fingers seemed to be useless. His whole body was twitching. That was all caused by the Thunder Stone. At first, Zhang Junjian persevered with the belief that he wanted to be like his father. Zhang Zizai had been idle for so many years. Now, his belief exceeds that of his brother, because there are too many people he wants to save and protect. So, pain can't stop Zhang Zizai's way. This is his father's battle tactics, which was arranged by Zhang Yunting himself. He didn't want to disappoint his father. There is no shortcut to becoming strong. If there is, it must be the willpower of more than 1,000,000 people. Once, when Zhang Zizai asked him, King Zilan, why he was so strong, This was Zhang Yunting's answer to him. Willpower. In fact, Zhang Zizai has a deeper understanding of this sentence. He thinks that the word belief should be added. His current belief is stronger than his willpower, and belief can also help to strengthen his willpower. The family has undergone a dramatic change, and the pillars have collapsed. The brothers betrayed him, and the villains oppressed him. The three veins are insidious, and the mother can't support herself. As a man of the Zhang family, he can only grit his teeth. Thunderstones fell on the fingers again and again. After enough destruction, he practiced finger techniques again and again, trying to achieve the most standard and release the black dragon chi in the most delicate way, so that the lethality would be the greatest. The 10 fingers were almost always wrapped with electric wires. In fact, Zhang Zizai felt that the thunder finger itself was not difficult, but almost no one practiced it because it was hard. A few days later, the fingers had rotted, and while waiting for the new flesh to grow, Zhang Zizai pondered the dragon step. However, he found that the content of the dragon step was obscure and mysterious, and it might not be so easy to understand it. He usually thought he was very smart and could draw inferences from one example, but at this time, his thinking was often slow. He knew all the words, but when they were combined together, he just couldn't understand what they meant. So his main energy was still on forging the thunder finger. The 10 fingers were connected to the heart, and every day he was in so much pain that he wanted to go back to the womb, but in the end he persisted. Fortunately, it was inside the soul-enriching divine stone. If others saw it, they would not believe that the person who tortured him with the thunder stone was actually the lazy little prince. Occasionally, when he was really tired, he would fall directly inside the soul-enriching divine stone and fall asleep. Sometimes, he would visualize the totem and look at the little black dragon in the gray fog. It still held the black petals in its mouth, motionless. Of course, the totem itself would not move, otherwise it would be a living thing. Now, Zhang Zizai can manifest the totem on his forehead. It is a pattern of a black dragon surrounding the petals. The black dragon is dark and cold. Suddenly, during one of his visualizations, some more words appeared in his mind. Another Gongfa appeared. Zhang Zizai really didn't expect that there were other things besides the original Holy Dragon Sutra. And it was even more mysterious. There are already 900 book reviews for the red envelope activity. Today, if everyone leaves a review after reading the book, we will soon reach 2000 points. I will select 10 people to add the essence and send out a red envelope of 1000 yuan. Remember to log in and read the book to count as a click for me. Sending flowers and adding to the bookshelf are all support for me. Yesterday, I rushed to the 3rd place in the new book list and the 1st place in the red envelope list. Thank you everyone. I will update the Swallowing Heaven record in the evening. Follow the WeChat public account of the Madman Feng Qingyang and reply WeChat group to join the group. Every day, the Madman will send red envelopes, update reminders, and occasionally chat.